I travel from one world to another doing wholesale sales, and you call this the end of the world? This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 476 You Don't Understand. HMPH, a bunch of ants, no matter how many there are, facing the mutant demon warriors and two mutant demon generals rushing towards him. Sui was not afraid at all. He kept swinging the broken army in his hand. Each knife could split the target in half. However, he chopped quickly, and the demon king of the demon realm repaired it quickly. Some of them even merged together before they could align, presenting an extremely weird posture. Some even glued together several of them, forming strange shapes such as Centipede Man and Spider-Man. This may be a threat to others. But for Sui, it was just a matter of one knife. However, this would not work. The attackers began to suffer casualties under the attack of the 6 arms of the corpse mountain monster. After falling into the dark green mist, they would definitely die. After a little thought, Sui directly put away the broken army, took out 2 large blue shields, and slapped them on the left and right. Great force makes miracles. The mutant demon warriors were smashed to pieces in an instant. Even if the demon king of the demon realm wanted to repair it, it would take more energy and time. However, the most scarce thing now is time. Roar, Sui, the demon king of the demon realm watched as the demon warriors he had cultivated with great effort were destroyed by Sui one by one. His heart was bleeding immediately, and he couldn't help but roar at Sui. Demon king, die? Sui didn't care how angry he was, and he slapped a bloody path, and then jumped, and the 2 large shields in his hands, with a move of double peaks piercing the ears, slapped towards the demon king. Bang! With a loud tremor, the 2 large blue shields collided directly with each other. Fuck, sloppy, Sui only felt his hands numb from the shock. I thought the demon king of the demon realm could not move. Unexpectedly, at the last moment, he actually slid and shrank into the pile of corpses under his feet, disappearing without a trace. Oh my god. Is this the legendary biological mecha? Did the demon king of the demon realm go to the core cockpit? Ha Sui, I told you, my big baby is immortal, and I am one with my big baby, so, I am invincible. The figure of the demon realm demon king appeared not far from Sui. With his ability to control zombies, he can instantly appear anywhere on the body of the corpse mountain monster. In fact, this is already part of the strength of a 9-star. Because on the corpse mountain monster, it is equivalent to existing in his domain, which is close to an invincible existence. However, the price to pay for creating a corpse mountain monster is extremely high. The sacrificed population is unbearable to look at. This is the trump card of the demon realm and the super weapon that the demon realm has hidden for a long time. With it, the demon realm demon king is invincible. Therefore, he did not invest energy in studying other energy weapons. Invincible, what a joke, Sui sneered. He still has many tricks that he has not used. It's a pity that the Black Phoenix is not here, otherwise he can smash it with a few punches. Invincible. However, even without the Black Phoenix mecha, Sui has a way to deal with this ghost thing. Don't disbelieve me, Sui, I tell you, my big baby will only get stronger and stronger. Originally, I was going to wait for some more time, you forced me to do this. But don't worry, I will not be partial. Once I have wiped you out, I will embark on the road to global domination. At that time, whether it is humans or zombies, they will become supplements for my big baby. The demon king of the demon realm could not help but get excited and said to himself. It seemed that he was already immersed in the world of dominating the world. Then what? Sui was speechless. This kind of development of drinking poison to quench thirst will eventually lead to destruction. Sui's words actually made the demon king of the demon realm suddenly silent. Shouldn't he fight back more arrogantly? This weird performance made Sui pause. Alice, you don't understand, we are all chess pieces, but I want to be the strongest one, so, merge with me. After a brief silence, the demon king of the demon realm returned to his crazy nature, controlling the big hand of the corpse mountain monster to grab Sui. Don't repent. Sui put away the lantern great shield, drew out the broken army again, and flew into the sky. The big hand of the corpse mountain monster was also pierced through, and Sui drilled out of the hole. All personnel, evacuate immediately. All personnel, evacuate immediately. All personnel, evacuate immediately. Important things should be said 3 times. Sui issued an order in the public channel. Brother, what are you going to do? Yuna's voice sounded in the channel. She had been fighting with the raiders and killed many zombies, but it didn't have much impact on the corpse mountain monster. On the contrary, under the dark green fog, the zombies that were killed quickly recovered, giving people a feeling of endlessness. Don't ask, this is an order, don't worry, I already have a way to deal with the corpse mountain monster, evacuate quickly, Sui replied, but in the end he couldn't help but explain a little to avoid the little girl worrying. Oh, hearing Sui's confidence, Yuna's worry was half relieved. Everyone who received the order evacuated one after another. And according to the standards given by Sui, they flew several kilometers away at a rapid speed. The fire demon in charge of the support also followed and retreated. Sui, are you scared? It's useless to tell you. I will take the big treasure and swallow everything, no matter where you escape to. After seeing the attackers retreat, the demon king of the demon realm thought Sui was preparing to evacuate. Who said you were scared? I'll send your big treasure to heaven right now, Sui said, turning around, swooping down from a high altitude, and heading for the center of the head of the corpse mountain monster. With the sharpness of the broken army, it can definitely make a big hole in it. A hint of doubt suddenly emerged in the green eyes of the demon king of the demon realm. Although he didn't know what Sui wanted to do, he was sure that it was not a good thing. His eyes turned fierce. The demon king of the demon realm made an important decision. The corpse mountain monster roared, leaned over and sucked wildly. The huge mouth of the abyss, composed of countless zombies, immediately sucked the dark green mist that filled the surroundings into its body. The zombies, who were nourished by a large amount of mist, suddenly screamed with excitement. Countless green lights shone on the body of the corpse mountain monster. That was the light bursting out from the eyes of countless zombies. At the same time, the arms of the zombies grew longer, and then intertwined together, so dense that from a distance, it looked like a layer of fishnet armor. 6 arms were raised at the same time, pushing towards the diving Sui. He planned to use numbers to offset the sharpness of the broken army, and then slap Sui to death with a slap. Chapter 477 Blow You to Death. HMPH, a trifle, Sui smiled contemptuously, and then turned on the Xiaolong's thrusters to the maximum. The whole person suddenly blasted towards the first giant palm like a cannonball. Cannon hammer. Sui put away the broken army instead and punched out. Crash. The giant palm with increased defense also did not escape the fate of being pierced. Then the second one. 8 extreme shock. After exhausting his strength, Sui continued to attack. He pierced the third giant palm that followed. Then the fourth one. 8 extreme collapse. The last 2 were also pierced at once by Sui's big move. At this moment, the demon king of the demon realm showed a trace of uneasiness in his eyes. Unfortunately, he was powerless to stop it, and he had no time to stop it. Sui would not give him such a chance. He could only watch Sui use the armor to accelerate again, relying on the sharpness of the broken army, and plunged into the body of the corpse mountain monster. The demon king of the demon realm could sense that Sui was traveling through the body of the corpse mountain monster, as if he wanted to reach the center point. But why was that? He is the core, he is the real core of the corpse mountain monster. As long as he is not dead, the corpse mountain monster will not dissipate. On the contrary, as long as the corpse mountain monster survives, he can teleport infinitely, and no one can hide him. Therefore, he thinks he is invincible. That is bad, not good. Boom boom boom. Before the demon king of the demon realm can react, a huge explosion occurred at the center of the corpse mountain monster. The mushroom cloud produced directly toward the huge corpse mountain, and those living dead were instantly vaporized into ions. It turned out that after arriving at the center of the corpse mountain monster, Sui directly threw out 3 crystal bombs and then hid in the modern world. 1 crystal explosion is enough to destroy a medium-sized base. But Sui threw Saner directly to be on the safe side. The power is comparable to that of an atomic bomb. Brother, boss, the hearts of Yuna and the Hooting Expeditionary Force flew to their throats. Is it possible for the boss to survive such a powerful explosion? But considering that the boss can create miracles every time. So, everyone is looking forward to it again. Looking forward to this legendary man, he can turn danger into safety again. Crash. Before everyone could think about it, the violent shock wave generated by the explosion hit them instantly. Fortunately, Everyone was protected by power armor, and with their own strength, they were able to withstand this supercharged explosion. For a moment, everyone's eyes were white, and there was only the whistling sound of the energy storm in their ears. Even the power armor system had a blue screen. Affected by the shock wave, the system was directly forced to go offline and enter a dormant state. I don't know how long it took before the raging energy storm gradually disappeared. There was a constant dripping sound in everyone's ears. That was the prompt sound of the power armor system automatically restarting and going online. In front of them, everything was clear again. Not only did the corpse mountain monster disappear, but even the entire Demon King was flattened. Buzz-boom! At this moment, two teams rushed over from two different directions. One team was led by a beautiful woman wearing a blue power armor. Her cold face was filled with deep worry. Yes, she was Zhang Ling, who was called the Ice Queen by the Demon Realm. After they completed the blocking mission, they rushed to the Demon King. But she saw the earth-shattering explosion from a distance, which made her heart tense to the extreme. On the other side, there was a group of running giant wolves. They were wearing silver armor and looked majestic. The leader was even more heroic and brave. She was Ma Xiaoyu, the leader of the Hidden Wolf Cavalry. Seeing the explosion of that scale, her heart was instantly filled with endless worries. Can't this troublemaking boss let people save some trouble? Damn. Are we too late? When the two women saw the sad faces of Yuna and the Phaeton Expeditionary Force, they couldn't help but feel a little empty in their hearts, and almost fell down while running. Yuna, what happened? Zhang Ling and Ma Xiaoyu rushed to Yuna as soon as possible, one on the left and one on the right, each holding one hand, and grabbed Yuna. Sister Xiaoling, Sister Xiaoyu, brother, in order to destroy the Demon King of the Demon Realm, my brother blew himself up with him. Yuna looked at the wreckage after the explosion and couldn't help crying. Zhang Ling and Ma Xiaoyu were stunned for a moment. How could this be possible? Little Nana, are you making up stories about me again? Be careful of the family rules. At this moment, the communication channel was restored, and Su Wei's lazy voice suddenly sounded. The three women were shocked again. The sadness in their hearts turned into surprise in an instant. But the tears still flowed down uncontrollably. Bad guy, Zhang Ling couldn't help but grit her teeth and said. She hated crying the most, but she didn't know how many times she had cried for him. Boss, Ma Xiaoyu was crying, but the smile on her face was blooming. Brother Yuna's face was full of surprise and surprise. Before she finished speaking, she rushed to the core area of the explosion. Zhang Ling and Ma Xiaoyu followed immediately. Then the Phaeton Expeditionary Force and the Hidden Wolf Cavalry followed. The ground within a radius of more than 10 kilometers was turned into scorched earth. The walls and the Demon King's palace, which were tens of meters high, disappeared, leaving only broken bricks and tiles on the ground. If you look down from the sky, it is like an ugly black spot on the carpet. In the center of this black spot, there stands a man wearing light blue power armor. Although he is only nearly 3 meters tall, he gives people an extremely tall feeling. Yes, he is Su Wei. In fact, he was teleported back before the energy storm around him ended. It was not until the energy storm dissipated and the communication was restored that he heard Yuna's sobbing. Then the scene just now appeared. Brother, Yuna threw herself into Su Wei's arms. The feeling just now made her too uncomfortable. Now, only by hugging him can she prove that this is not a dream. Okay, everything is over. Su Wei hurriedly patted Yuna's shoulder and comforted her. Yuna felt that the real Su Wei was in front of her, and she was immediately filled with joy, but the tears she was crying could not stop at all, and she could only nod her head continuously. Su Wei, where's Demon King Mo? Zhang Ling and Ma Xiaoyu arrived one step later, and seeing Yuna occupying the position, they had to ask. They are everywhere, they have turned into dust. Su Wei pointed at the surroundings. He did not expect the power of the crystal bomb to be so terrifying. If he had known earlier, throwing one would be enough. Zhang Ling and Ma Xiaoyu were speechless. Ma Xiaoyu could not help but sigh in her heart, how miserable it is to be his enemy. Fortunately, she chose to abandon the dark and join the light, otherwise the grass on her grave would probably be several meters high. Greek letter epsilon equals, Greek letter omicron, Alice. Chapter 478 Demon King Laboratory. The Demon King of the Demon Realm died. The Demon King city he founded also disappeared. The Demon Realm troops who came to rescue surrendered immediately without saying a word when they saw the horrific scene in front of them. How could they not surrender? More than a dozen miles of land were turned into scorched earth. Their base did not have the defense capabilities of the Demon King city. So far, the entire demon realm is under the threat of Phaeton, and it is only a matter of time before it is fully taken over. The demon realm will certainly not give up this place. After all, it is backed by Menghe City and has a large amount of industrial infrastructure and equipment. This is the part that Phaeton just lacks. So Su Wei decided to rebuild on the foundation of the Demon King city. After all, the terrain here is good, and if there is a foundation, the construction speed will be much faster. So a large number of captives came in handy and were transferred here for cleaning work. However, when cleaning the foundation, a huge underground laboratory was accidentally discovered. Its location is under the former Demon King Palace. This discovery made Su Wei very happy. Originally, I thought that the Demon King city was destroyed and everything disappeared. I didn't expect that the Demon King of the Demon Realm hid all the treasures underground, and they were hidden so well. Even under such a violent explosion, there was no damage. It's just that the security system of this laboratory is very high, and the accompanying soldiers are unable to crack it safely. So Su Wei immediately sent someone to pick up Ji Tongguang and others. Although he didn't know what was in the laboratory, based on the various characteristics of the Demon King of the Demon Realm, Su Wei guessed that there must be something like potions. So, even Old Qin was included. Originally, Old Qin was reluctant to leave the laboratory, but Su Wei had already prepared and asked someone to bring a video of the corpse mountain monster. So Old Qin rushed over. But when he heard that the corpse mountain monster had been blown up by Su Wei without even a slag left, he was immediately furious. However, when Su Wei said that the relevant data might exist in the laboratory, the old man settled down and waited patiently for Ji Tongguang and others to crack it. Zhang Ling, Ma Xianwu, and Yu Na, the three girls, couldn't sit still, and took people out again. Try to conquer those scattered bases as soon as possible, gather the population and build new bases. As for Su Wei, he stayed to visit when he had nothing to do. He also wanted to know what kind of existence the Demon King of the Demon Realm was, and he could come up with so many strange things on his own. However, this wait lasted for 3 days. Ji Tongguang even mobilized all the talents of the Phaeton's intelligent brain system to come over, and barely cracked the laboratory security system of the Demon King of the Demon Realm. Ding when the door of the laboratory opened. Endless joy emerged in everyone's hearts. It's not easy. As expected, the laboratory has highly automated facilities and equipment. In addition to intelligent robots, there are other humans. But in a cage, a large number of zombies were found, and there are many kinds. But they are all frozen. Obviously, they are all experimental materials of the Demon King of the Demon Realm. This made Su Wei feel like he had entered a biochemical crisis laboratory. Seeing this, Boss Qin was very excited. Medicine and medicine are inseparable. These alone are enough to prove that the Demon King of the Demon Realm is also a fellow traveler. At the same time, a large number of defense systems and weapons were also discovered. Fortunately, the security system has been cracked and a new intelligent brain has been implanted, otherwise it would be really troublesome to enter the core area of the laboratory. If you are not careful, it will cause a self-explosion, which will be your loss. In addition to zombie specimens and a lot of strange potions. What people are most concerned about is naturally the large amount of data stored in the database. In order to further understand this strange laboratory, everyone decided to start with a database. In order to avoid inappropriate operation and cause unnecessary trouble. After all, Su Wei is very afraid of the weird dark green mist. Data interpretation is a very time-consuming task. Su Wei didn't waste time here. Teleported back to the modern world, some supplies were brought over. Added some benefits to this impoverished temporary base. Although Phaeton's supply brigade is on the way, it is not as fast as Su Wei. And the variety is complete. Let everyone be at ease and devote themselves to work. In this way, 3 more days passed. Although there are still many puzzles, the general framework has been outlined. It also gave everyone a new understanding of the Demon King of the Demon Realm. The Demon King of the Demon Realm's real name is Green. Before the disaster, he was a biochemical expert and worked in a well-known research institute. He belongs to the elite class. He is young, handsome, promising, and lives a rich and fulfilling life. However, the sudden disaster changed everything. He was infected. But strangely, he did not lose his human consciousness, and was between humans and zombies. Half human and half corpse. In order to hide his zombie-like appearance, he could only wrap himself up. because he has the breath of zombies. Therefore, ordinary zombies will not actively attack him, which allows him to live well after the disaster. But a human cannot live in a group of zombies for a long time. In that case, even if he does not die, he will completely become a zombie. At the same time, Green longed to become a human again and return to normal life. So, he began crazy research. In order to get more research time and research resources, relying on the attributes of half-corpses, he frantically hunted zombies, obtained corpse crystals, and then used them to strengthen himself. When he reached a certain height, he created the demon realm and recruited talents for his use. As his strength continued to increase, the demon realm expanded rapidly. In order to make the demon realm strong and efficient, he formulated the law of the jungle. In order to consolidate his position, he secretly used his expertise in biochemical technology to transform the demon warriors to consolidate his position. In fact, the so-called demon realm warriors are just a cover. The outstanding candidates who were elected will be transformed into puppet warriors who will only be loyal to him through the equipment and instruments in the laboratory. The most critical link is the anesthetic gas. Ordinary anesthetics have no effect on enhancers, let alone evolvers or awakeners. Therefore, the black fox is very important to him. It is equivalent to a living anesthesia machine. It allows him to quietly sleep those outstanding candidates and transform them into his loyal death guards, the demon warriors. What? You said the sleepyhead potion? Please, not everyone can get a large amount of non-mutant medicinal materials like Sui. This is not to say that Jelin is worse than Kin Lao, but it is difficult for a good wife to cook without rice. He doesn't even have the ingredients, how can he prepare it? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 479, Grand Funeral. The reason for invading Jinquin City and the surrounding survivor bases is that the development of the demon realm has reached a bottleneck. At the same time, the disadvantages of barbaric development began to appear. If there is no external expansion, the source of materials in the demon realm will become less and less. Coupled with the consumption of internal fighting, it will destroy itself. Therefore, the demon king of the demon realm chose the nearby Jinquin City. In addition, there is another reason, that is, the demon king's laboratory needs new electronic components to be supplemented and replaced. And Jinquin City is a large technology city, which can obtain relevant resources. If it were earlier, the Shimu camp would probably belong to the demon realm. Unfortunately, Su Wei happened to intervene at this time. I have to say that things are unpredictable. With this information, Su Wei has a deeper understanding of the demon realm and the demon king of the demon realm. But with it comes more doubts. For example, the first thing that people are most concerned about is why the demon king of the demon realm, Green, did not lose human consciousness after being infected by the virus? Is it individual differences, or because of his previous work relationship? Unfortunately, he has been blown to pieces by Su Wei. Otherwise, Kin Lao will definitely be able to find some clues from him. Maybe it can open the door to the reverse virus. Unfortunately, it's too late. If there is a chance to do it again, Su Wei will definitely try his best to capture the Demon King alive. Unfortunately, there is no regret potion in the wasteland. Now, we can only hope for Green's research data on himself. However, those materials are disorganized, and only Green can understand them. It will take some time for others to study them. Secondly, where did this luxurious, highly automated laboratory come from? This thing is definitely not from Menghe City. Before the disaster, I had never heard of biochemical laboratories in Menghe City and its surrounding areas. Third, Green seems to have a very strong sense of crisis. The main goal of his research is to make himself stronger. It has even reached the point of doing everything possible. From his experiments, we can see a little bit. He actually injected himself with the spinal fluid of mutant zombies to obtain a more powerful mutation. And he really won the bet. The spinal fluid of mutant zombies did not completely turn him into a zombie, but instead gave him a special ability to control zombies. The reason why it is called special is that the zombies he controls need to be made by himself. The demon warrior is one of them. However, it is time-consuming and labor-intensive and cannot be used as the main force. And the dark green mist is Green's greatest achievement. He calls it a big funeral. It is a potion that can directly turn humans into living dead that he can control. It also has a strengthening effect on the living dead, and it is not an exaggeration to say that it is a strengthening potion for the living dead. According to Green's plan, he will gather all the people in the demon realm to the Demon King in the near future. Then start the big funeral. Transform everyone into the living dead. By that time, the corpse mountain monster will be more than 10 times what Sui and his team face. Then, Green will drive the corpse mountain monster to flatten everything, including all creatures including zombies. Become the real strongest on the surface. This will allow Green to have the strength to fight against him. Yes, in Green's notes, you can often see the appearance of him in quotation marks. He is also regarded as the biggest enemy by Green. This may be the source of Green's strong sense of crisis. But who is him? Green did not make any explanation, only occasionally mentioned that he was an unavoidable fate. Fate? Was it because he was infected? Or did he find a way to completely turn himself back into a human? In short, it was full of mystery, making people puzzled. But this reminded Sui of what the Demon King of the Demon Realm said during the fight. You don't understand, we are all chess pieces, but I want to be the strongest one. Chess pieces? This made Sui feel an inexplicable worry. What kind of existence makes the powerful Demon King of the Demon Realm so afraid? Forget it, forget it. If you can't figure it out, don't think about it for the time being. After letting Ji Tongguang and others continue to sort out the data from the Demon King's laboratory, Sui set off to leave the Demon Realm. After inspecting the Phoenix Nest base, he returned to the Phaeton base. After discussing with Songdan, Sui drove his big guy away again. Then he teleported back to the modern world. The construction of the Demon Realm base has been put on the agenda. The Demon King laboratory was built on the original foundation and isolated. It will become an important place in the Demon Realm base. Li Yanli has taken over the security of the Demon King laboratory. In addition, the laboratory's security system has been repaired. There is no need to worry about security issues for the time being. It's just that the laboratory has been running for a long time, and many places have malfunctions and damage. Therefore, it still needs some maintenance and repairs. Just leave these things to Ji Tongguang and others. I believe that there will be a qualitative leap in the near future. Back to the modern world. Sui has returned to 2.1 line life, either in Yunshujian or in Ziwei Industrial Park, or on the way to both. Occasionally, he will accompany He Shuang to participate in some activities. However, he is just a bystander, watching quietly. Although the program team really wanted to ask Sui to show his face, he disagreed and had to give up. After all, Sui's current identity is extraordinary. After the last incident, he has almost become a person that no one dares to provoke in Daxia. The tide rises. People related to him naturally get the protection they deserve. With the title of Dragon King of Huadu, the Su family is well protected. Ding on this day, on the top floor of Ziwei building, in Xiaowei's CEO's office, Sui was discussing some issues of Ziwei Pharmaceutical with her and Li Xiaoman. The phone rang suddenly. Sui took out his phone and saw that it was an unfamiliar number. But it was Lao Lang's phone that was ringing. Now Sui has multiple identities, so naturally there are corresponding phone numbers. With artificial intelligence to help manage, the mobile phone is just an external device to deceive people. Hello, who is this? Sui got up and walked to the side to answer the phone. The two women continued to discuss. Not many people know Lao Lang's phone number, and it was the first time that an unfamiliar number appeared. Brother Lang, it's me, Chu Haoan. A noisy voice suddenly rang from the other end of the phone. This guy, as active as ever. Haozi, Sui was stunned when he heard the voice, and couldn't help but take another look at the phone number. A domestic number? Yes, Brother Lang, you can't even recognize my voice, Chu Haoan said on the other side. You're back to Daxia? Sui asked. Yes, something happened at home, so I came back. Brother Lang, are you free? Chu Haoan's voice suddenly sounded a little strange. Yes, I must. Where are you? Sui agreed immediately. In Guancheng, Chu Haoan replied. Okay, I'll be there right away, Sui said and hung up the phone. Chapter 480, Flying to Guancheng. Sister Wei, Zio man, I have to go to Guancheng for something. Let's follow the plan we made before. After hanging up the phone, Sui walked to the two women and said. Okay, go and do what you want, we are here, Xiao Wei nodded. "Yes, I won't be back tonight," Su Wei said and walked out. He drove his future warrior and headed straight to the airport. But when he arrived at the airport, the private plane was ready. As soon as Su Wei got on, the plane took off and rushed into the sky. More than an hour later, Su Wei landed at Guancheng Airport. This was his first time in Guancheng. However, he had an indissoluble bond with it. The grudges with the Liu family in Guancheng could not help but come to mind again. However, Su Wei soon put it behind him. The body of Mr. Liu had been digested by some unknown zombie, and there was not even a residue left. What else could he do? After leaving Guancheng Airport, Su Wei called a car and went straight to the downtown area of Guancheng. He found a hotel and checked in. Su Wei walked onto the street, and after a few shuttles, he lost sight of Su Wei. Old Wolf made a grand appearance. He called Chu Haoan's phone number in China. After a while, Dong Zhao drove a car and appeared in front of Su Wei with Chu Haoan. "Brother Wolf." After getting in the car, Chu Haoan changed his unruly behavior abroad and greeted Su Wei respectfully. "Oh, my God, the sun rose from the west today." Su Wei was stunned. "Brother, don't laugh at me, that's why I don't want to stay in China, it's too aggrieved," Chu Haoan said with a depressed look. Although he is now a king-level master and a leader in the Xinghu army. But his family doesn't know about these things. Coupled with his childhood experience, he instinctively feels restrained. "Ha ha ha, I didn't expect that the unruly Master Chu also has such a gentle side, very rare. I have to take a photo as a souvenir, come on, smile for me," Su Wei said, taking out his mobile phone and pointing it at Chu Haoan. Chu Haoan was forced to cooperate and had to make a scissors hand gesture. Seeing this, Su Wei laughed out loud. Dong Zhao, who was driving in the front seat, couldn't help but smile. Okay, enough with the jokes, tell me, what do you want from me?" Su Wei put away his mobile phone and got back to the point. "Brother, look at what you said, can't I have a drink with you if I have nothing to do? This is the first time we meet in China." "Okay," Chu Haoan's expression froze, but he said it with a bit of stubbornness. He seemed to be a little embarrassed. Keep pretending, hurry up, if you have something to say it, you can drink after you solve it, don't you know my temper?" Su Wei shook his head and asked. Obviously he didn't believe Chu Haoan's words. "Oh, my sister is getting married." Chu Haoan was stunned for a moment, and then said with a depressed face. "It's going to rain, and my mother is getting married." "Oh, boss, sorry, the wording is inappropriate, I mean it's normal for your sister to get married, why are you so bitter and resentful?" Su Wei asked with a gossipy look on his face. "Brother, I won't hide it from you, although she is only my half-sister, she is one of the people in the family who treats me well, she has taken care of me and helped me since I was a child, so, from the bottom of my heart, I am grateful to her. If she really gets married and is happy, I will naturally bless her 100%, but the problem is not," Chu Haoan said with a depressed face. It turns out that although the Chu family is a wealthy and famous family in Guancheng, it can only be ranked second. The key point is that the Chu family has some dealings with the former Guancheng Liu family. This is normal. The Guancheng Liu family was originally a first-class family in Guancheng. Other families in Guancheng have to be inferior to it, and some dealings are inevitable. The terrible thing is that the Guancheng Liu family fell. And because they offended a great adult, coupled with the crime of colluding with foreign enemies, the nature is even worse. All the families and companies that are close to them have been investigated and then suffered bad luck. The Chu family was naturally implicated. Fortunately, nothing fatal was found, and only some minor punishments and warnings were received. However, the business world is like a battlefield, and opponents will naturally seize every opportunity to add insult to injury. Therefore, the Chu family is very uncomfortable now. They are excluded in Guancheng. In order to open up this passive situation, they have to embark on the road of marriage. The other party is another big family in Guancheng, the Huangpu family. When the Liu family was there, they ranked second. The two sides are still a little bit at odds. Now that the Liu family has fallen, the Huangpu family has suddenly become very powerful. It has become the top family in Guancheng, and the Huangpu family is also a member of the Eternal Palace. Naturally, its momentum is at its peak. Those who only knew how to curry favor with the Liu family before are naturally targeted. Chu Haoan's father Chu Jiancheng had to compromise and propose the marriage to the Huangpu family. It just so happened that a second son of the second branch of the Huangpu family had some feelings for Chu Haoan's sister. This matter was naturally a perfect match. However, this kind of marriage is doomed to be unhappy, and the other party may not cherish it. Therefore, Chu Haoan felt that it was not worth it for his sister. Brother, do you think this is intolerable? If he is the eldest son of the Huangpu family and the future heir to the head of the family, it would be fine, but that guy is a second son of the second branch. To put it bluntly, he is even more useless than me. If my sister marries him, she will be depressed to death. After explaining the cause of the matter, Chu Haoan became even more depressed. He really got angrier and angrier as he talked. Longji Factory is now a supplier of Xinghu, so it is naturally very popular. But that is limited to Maninia and its surrounding areas, and it has not affected Guangcheng. He is a king-level player, but unfortunately he has almost no connections in China because he has been abroad for many years. Even if he has, the other party is a member of the Eternal Palace, which is more powerful than them. In addition, with a relationship with the Guangcheng Liu family, who dares to help them now? The most important point is that Chu Haoan's sister Chu Kaianqian has already agreed to this matter, and she is determined to sacrifice herself to help the family overcome the difficulties. In this case, even if Chu Haoan has 3 heads and 6 arms, he can't change this matter. After thinking about it, it seems that only Lao Lang can help him. So, Chu Haoan called Lao Lang as soon as possible. I hope that through him, I can think of a way to pull the Chu family out of the quagmire of the Guangcheng Liu family. In this way, his sister Chu Kaianqian will naturally not have to marry someone in humiliation. Chapter 481 1 hour. After listening to Chu Haoan's story, Su Wei couldn't help but be speechless. This world is really small. I never thought that Chu Haoan's troubles were actually inextricably linked to him. I didn't know Chu Haoan's family in detail before. Otherwise, when dealing with the Guangcheng Liu family, I would have taken care of the Chu family. In that case, things like today wouldn't have happened. However, it's not too late now. Brother, please say something. Seeing Su Wei's silence, Chu Haoan couldn't help but urge. Well, it's easy, Su Wei agreed immediately. After all, Chu Haoan is also his nominal apprentice, isn't he? Really? Chu Haoan heard the words, and his face of depression and anxiety suddenly turned into surprise. It's still cooked? I'm doing things, and you're still not at ease. Su Wei glared at Chu Haoan unhappily. Dare to doubt him. Don't worry, brother, I have every confidence in you to do the job. Just, brother, can you tell me more? Which big boss is it? We should show our respect to him. Chu Haoan regained some of his mischievousness when he heard that there was a chance, and asked Su Wei with a smug look. This matter concerns his sister's lifelong happiness. He always feels a little uneasy in his heart if he doesn't figure it out. Not a big boss, just a buddy of mine, Su Wei said with a slight smile. Chu Haoan was stunned when he heard it. A buddy? So casual? Why does it sound a little unreliable? Okay, leave it to me, I promise to do it properly for you, Su Wei patted his chest and promised. Is there anyone more suitable than him for this matter? Oh, brother, it's not that I don't believe you, it's just that this has to happen quickly, otherwise, the opportunity will be gone, and my sister's reputation will be ruined. Chu Haoan looked at Su Wei with a wry smile, and was obviously still a little worried. Okay, I'll make a call now. Su Wei took out his cell phone. Who should he call? The head of Yonghan Hall is Mr. Yi, but he has only met him once, so they are not very familiar with each other. Besides, he doesn't have his contact information. Mr. Xia. Secretary Liu? After consideration, Su Wei called Long Zhanayu. Who asked this old guy to go to Yonghang Hall to poach people under his name? You have to pay for what you have done. Brother, how come you have time to call me today? As soon as the phone was connected, Long Zhanayu's happy voice came from the inside. People are refreshed when they are happy. Now Zhanlong has surpassed Yonghang Hall, and he, the head of Zhanlong, is naturally glorious. Brother, I have something to trouble you with. Su Wei was not polite and said straight to the point. Trouble? What trouble are you talking about? Just tell me if you have something. Long Zhanayu immediately became interested when he heard it. There shouldn't be many people who can help Su Wei now. Brother, this is what happened. I have a buddy named Chu Haoan, from Guangcheng. My family opened a company called. Su Wei turned to look at Chu Haoan on the side. He didn't know what the Chu family's industry was called. Chu Dian Industry, Chu Haoan on the side immediately understood and introduced his family name. Yes, it's called Chuyan Industry. This is not in line with the Guanchang Liu family's mess. Now they are being targeted everywhere. Yeah, I think we can't just talk about it. Don't let a bad person go, but don't wrongly accuse a good person, right? Su Wei told Long Zhenai about the whole thing. Then he expressed his attitude. Hey, what's my problem? Don't worry, leave it to me, I'll get it done for you in an hour. Long Zhenai said it clearly. Although he didn't know the specific situation of the Chu family in Guancheng, Su Wei had already asked for it, so there was nothing to be embarrassed about, just arrange it directly. It's time to give some warnings to those clowns who use chicken feathers as a token of authority, otherwise they will think they are going to fly to the sky. Okay, that's good, I'll leave it to you, brother, Su Wei said. Don't be polite, wait for the letter. After saying that, Long Zhenai hung up the phone. Did you hear it? It will take at most an hour. Su Wei hung up the phone, looked at Chu Haoan who was opening his mouth wide, and then said proudly. Chu Haoan was speechless. The key point is that he didn't know who the other party was. What can be done in an hour? To be honest, Chu Haoan's heart was broken. My brother, why is he so arrogant now? He is a member of the Eternal Palace and the top position in Guanchang now. Okay, it's only an hour anyway, can't you even wait this little bit? Looking at Chu Haoan's expression, Su Wei naturally knew it. But he didn't explain too much? No, brother, I'm just shocked. I don't believe what others say, but I must believe what you say, brother, it's true, isn't it just an hour to wait? Chu Haoan chose to believe Su Wei. Then let's go and have a drink, let's eat while we wait. Su Wei didn't explain much, he would understand it naturally when the time came. Okay, let's go and have a drink, old Dong, let's go to Half Moon Bay. With that, the car, driven by Dong Zhao, drove to a seaside hotel. Today, the afternoon sun is particularly bright. In the mansion of the Huangpu family, Huangpu Jingshan was sitting in the main seat of the hall with a spring breeze on his face, meeting several famous families in Guancheng. Listening to their flattering words, Huangpu Jingshan was particularly happy. He is the current head of the Huangpu family. He was the second in command for a long time, but he suddenly became the new noble of Guancheng, so he was naturally overjoyed. He never dreamed that the Huangpu family would be able to have today. Happiness came too suddenly, which made people feel unreal. But it happened just like that. It not only caught the famous Guancheng family off guard, but also made the Huangpu family feel confused. Head of the family, someone is looking for you. While talking loudly, a middle-aged man dressed as a butler walked in hurriedly with a mobile phone in his hand. Who? Huangpu Jingshan asked with some displeasure. This braggart is just bragging, who is so blind? What a spoilsport. It's Mr. Yi. He asked you to call him back, the butler replied in a low voice. After all, there are outsiders now. If the person calling was not very important, he would not dare to rush in like this. Bring it here quickly. Huangpu Jingshan's face changed immediately. How could this housekeeper be so ignorant? Yes, the housekeeper immediately handed over the phone in his hand. I'm sorry, everyone, there is an urgent matter that needs to be dealt with. I'm sorry to accompany you. Huangpu Jingshan said as he stood up and walked towards the inner room. It's okay, it's my duty, The people sitting in the hall quickly stood up and said goodbye. Led by the housekeeper, they left the hall and said goodbye. Chapter 482. A bolt from the blue. Just as everyone walked to the gate of the Huangpu family's house, they suddenly heard a thunderous cry. It seemed to be the voice of Huangpu Jingshan, the head of the Huangpu family. However, everyone pretended to be fine and left. This was not something they should ask about, nor was it something they could ask about. After Xiao Lian sent everyone away, the housekeeper's face suddenly became nervous. He quickly trotted inside. I don't know what happened to make the head of the family lose his composure. But it is certain that it is definitely a big deal. Head of the family, just as he ran to the middle courtyard, he met the head of the family, Huangpu Jingshan, who came out from inside. The housekeeper hurriedly stepped forward to greet him. Where is the second son? Huangpu Jingshan was shocked and angry, and asked the housekeeper as soon as he caught up with him. Second master, I heard yesterday that he had something to go out today, but maybe he should still be in the other courtyard now, the housekeeper hurriedly replied. The second master he mentioned was Huangpu Jingshan's younger brother Huangpu Jinfin. Because he was born in the second room, his status in the Huangpu family is not high. Let's go, take me to see him, Huangpu Jingsheng said anxiously. Yes, the master. The housekeeper immediately led the way to the other courtyard. Second brother, as soon as he entered the other courtyard, Huangpu Jingsheng hurriedly shouted loudly. Other people in the courtyard looked sideways. But after finding out that it was the master of the house, he lowered his head and went to work on his own things. Big brother, why are you so anxious? Why don't you just send someone to call him? As he spoke, a middle-aged man in a navy blue suit and a big back hat rushed out from the inner room. His somewhat fat body trembled while walking, which looked a bit funny. Behind him was a young man with a face shape somewhat similar to his, who should be his youngest son Huangpu Ying. On the other side was a woman dressed in gorgeous clothes. She was Huangpu Jinfeng's wife Li Qinglan. The way this family was dressed, it was obvious that they were about to go out. Let's go inside and talk. Huangpu Jingsheng saw the outfits of several people and immediately understood something. But there were many people in the yard, so it was difficult to talk, so he took the lead and walked into the living room. Okay, Huangpu Jinfeng nodded repeatedly after hearing this, and took a step forward, leading his eldest brother, who was also the head of the family, to the living room. Come together, Huangpu Jingsheng added another sentence. Li Qinlan and Huangpu Ying, who were looking hesitant, also hurriedly followed. Several people entered the living room. Huangpu Jingsheng glanced at the housekeeper at the end. The latter immediately understood and closed the hall door and stood guard at the door. Brother, what happened? Seeing the situation, the hearts of Huangpu Jinfeng's family suddenly sank. Sit down first. Huangpu Jingsheng sat down in the main seat and pointed to the chair below. Yes, Huangpu Jinfeng quickly motioned his wife and son to sit down, and he also sat upright, looking at Huangpu Jingsheng nervously. Are you planning to marry into the Chu family? Huangpu Jingsheng asked directly after seeing everyone sitting down. Yes, big brother, is there anything wrong with that? Huangpu Jinfeng was stunned when he heard that. The Chu family in Guancheng was only a second-rate family before. Since the fall of the Liu family, several families related to it have suddenly fallen out of the limelight. And this Chu family is one of them. Don't ask first, tell me, are you blackmailing the Chu family? Huangpu Jingsheng asked with a serious face. This is a crucial question because it determines the future of the Huangpu family. No, big brother, are we that kind of people? This matter was all promoted by Chu Jiancheng, the chairman of the Chu family. Huangpu Jinfeng was scared. Because every time his eldest brother showed such an expression, it meant that the situation was very serious. But a small family that is about to die, can it be so capable? Are you sure? Huangpu Jingsheng still asked with a serious face. What kind of character does his younger brother have? He doesn't know. To put it simply, he is lazy and likes to eat. If he hadn't been lucky enough to be born in the Huangpu family, he probably wouldn't even be able to marry a wife. However, he also has one advantage, that is, he is very self-aware. He knows what to take and what not to take. But there are exceptions to everything. Especially now that the Huangpu family unexpectedly got such a big piece of cake as Guancheng, there are countless people flattering him. He is worried that his younger brother will not be able to control himself and will become arrogant. Sure, brother, I'm 200% sure, Huangpu Jinfeng immediately patted his chest and guaranteed. This matter is indeed dominated by the Chu family, and they are just sitting back and enjoying the fruits of their labor. Then are you sure that the girl from the Chu family is willing? Huangpu Jingsheng's expression eased a little. As long as the Huangpu family is not bullying the weak, then this matter is easy to handle. This it should be, right? Otherwise, Chu Jiancheng would not take the initiative to find someone to match them up. Huangpu Jinfeng dared not guarantee it now. After all, this kind of transactional marriage is very common in big families, and there is no talk of feelings at all, okay? Then why did Chu Jiancheng choose you? Don't hide anything, I need to know the whole story. Huangpu Jingsheng's slightly relaxed expression tensed up again. This, Huangpu Ying, is it you? Did you threaten him privately? Speaking of this, Huangpu Jinfeng didn't dare to guarantee it, and quickly turned to look at his youngest son and asked sternly. He was also wondering before, how did the Chu family know that Huangpu Ying would agree to this marriage? However, because the Huangpu family suddenly became prosperous, there were so many people who flattered them, so naturally they got used to it. Now being questioned by Huangpu Jingsheng, he suddenly felt something was wrong. I didn't. Huang Puying, who was sitting upright at the end, was suddenly startled and almost fell off the chair. Fortunately, he was stopped by his mother Li Qinlan. "Why are you so fierce?" Li Qinlan felt sorry for her son and couldn't help but glance at her husband, but the latter didn't care about these. "Huang Puying, tell me the truth, what happened?" Huang Pujinfeng continued to ask. "Flies don't bite seamless eggs, this must have a reason, right? Dad, I really don't know. It was at a cocktail party that I met Chu Kaianqian once. I felt good at the time. So I asked her for her contact information, but she refused. I didn't care at the time, but a few days later, someone from the Chu family came to propose marriage. I thought Chu Kaianqian had changed her mind, and I had some feelings for her, so she agreed. That's what happened. I really didn't threaten her." Huang Puying was so scared that he quickly told everything. He swore that all this was true and there was no water mixed in. Chapter 483, I can't accept it. "Are you sure?" After hearing his son's answer, Huang Pujinfeng couldn't help but confirm it again and again. "Sure, 200% sure," Huang Puying nodded repeatedly, exactly the same as his father before. It was indeed his child. "Oh, big brother, look, this is what happened, and this is the situation." After confirming again and again, Huang Pujinfeng said to Huang Pujingshan on the main seat with a cautious look on his face. "This shouldn't be considered a threat, right? Yet, if this is really the case, then the responsibility is not on my Huang Pu family." Only then did Huang Pujingshan breathe a long sigh of relief. The hanging heart can be said to be half relieved. This is not him making a fuss, but the phone call from Mr. Yu just now made him feel like the end of the world is coming. At least for the Huang Pu family, it is no different from the end of the world. If the Huang Pu family has any fault, he doesn't know how to explain it to the higher-ups. Fortunately, all these are misunderstandings, as long as they are solved. Responsibility. "Brother, what happened?" Huang Pujinfeng couldn't help but ask again. Li Qinlan and Huang Puying on the side also pricked up their ears. The Chu family has produced a capable person," Huang Pujingshan sighed and said with some jealousy. Originally, he thought that the Huang Pu family had already soared to the sky this time. But now compared with the Chu family, it is nothing. The Chu family? Who is it? Huang Pujinfeng and others were confused. They have never heard of this? Besides, if the Chu family is really so awesome, why would they come to kowtow to the second branch of the Huang Pu family? Chu Haoan, Huang Pujingshan said a strange name. If this name didn't come from old Yi's mouth, he probably wouldn't know who Chu Haoan is. Chu Haoan, sure enough, Huang Pujinfeng's family was even more confused. They had never heard of it. Chu Haoan is Chu Jianchang's youngest son and Chu Kaianqian's half-brother. After he became an adult, he went to Maninia to help his father open a factory. He rarely stays in the country, so it's normal that you don't know each other, Huang Pujingshan explained slowly. This was the information he found after talking to Mr. Yi. Now that the situation is clear, the Huang Pu family has not done anything out of the ordinary, so there is still room for easing. Maninia, Huang Pujinfeng and others are still puzzled. By this calculation, he is also a bastard, and he is an abandoned child who is exiled to the outside world. How capable can he be? This kind of thing is common in big families. After all, there is only one position of power. In order to protect the orthodox inheritance, these bastard children will be assigned to various places after they become adults. To avoid cannibalism. The farther they are assigned, the less value they are given. They are all far away abroad, and in a remote place like Africa. How is it possible? You may not understand what I said, but if I tell you another person, you will understand. Huang Pujingshan looked at the three people and said with a pretentious face. Who? The three asked in unison. Su Wei from Ziwei Group, he and Chu Haoyan are brothers. Huang Pujingshan's words made people feel shocked. The name Su Wei may be unfamiliar to some people, but for the upper-class people in Guangcheng, it is definitely a thunderbolt. Especially after adding the four words Ziwei Group. The meaning of the name Su Wei is even more extraordinary. Huang Pujinfeng's heart was filled with thousands of divine beasts and alpacas. What kind of luck is this? Not to mention the Guangcheng Liu family, even the Beijing Luan family is gone at any time. What qualifications do their Huang Pu family have to be compared with him? How could he know Su Wei? Huang Puying said with envy, jealousy and hatred. He was extremely reluctant to believe this news, because if it came true, he and Chu Kaianqian would really have to rely on fate. The Longji factory managed by Chu Haoyan is in Manania and is an important supplier of Xinghu weapons, and Ziwei Group is also a core supplier of Xinghu weapons. Ziwei electronic super energy batteries can be sold to Xinghu weapons without restrictions, which is enough to show that the relationship between the two is not ordinary. Then it is not impossible that Chu Haoyan knows Ziwei, in order to make him give up, Huang Pu Jingshan patiently explained. This information is not a secret and can be easily found. Therefore, according to this inference, it is almost certain. Alice Huangpu Jinfeng couldn't help but sigh after hearing this. The Huangpu family has not been glorious for a few days, and it is going to return to the position of the eternal second place. After all, with the protection of Ziwei, the big tree, the Guanchang Chu family will soon rise, and it is not impossible that it will even surpass the previous Liu family. Didn't you see that the Yonghang Palace is now suppressed by Zhanglong? What's more, he has the title of national scholar. What can the Huangpu family use to fight back? Mr. Yi just said it very clearly on the phone. We need to give the other party a satisfactory explanation for this matter, Huangpu Jingshan continued. Has this matter alarmed Mr. Yi? Huangpu Jinfeng's family was shocked again when they heard this. You know, Huangpu Ying has good qualifications and is preparing to enter the Eternal Palace for development. Even Mr. Yi knows about this matter, which will leave a bad impression on people. What else, Mr. Yi called to ask about it personally, Huangpu Jingshan said with a depressed look. He, the head of the family, didn't have a glorious few days, and he was going to be beaten back to his original form again. Blue and thin mushroom. Wow. Oh, brother, what do you say we should do now? Huangpu Jinfeng had a face full of resignation. Things have come to this point, and we have to give in. Are you going to Chu Jianchang's banquet? Huangpu Jingshan asked instead of answering. Well, yes, Huangpu Jinfeng nodded. Okay, then you go now, but Xiaoying doesn't have to go. When you go, just refuse this marriage, but you must be careful with your words and don't anger the Chu family. Huangpu Jingshan couldn't help but secretly feel lucky in his heart. Fortunately, he arrived in time. Yet, Huangpu Jinfeng nodded again after hearing this. Huangpu Ying was naturally unhappy, but since Huangpu Jingshan had spoken, he didn't dare and couldn't refute. Brother, please forgive me for saying something. The Chu family has such a strong backer, then if this marriage is facilitated, wouldn't it be extremely beneficial to our Huangpu family? No one knows a son better than his mother. Li Qinlan on the side couldn't help but strive for her son. Others couldn't help but shine in their eyes. No, at least not now. But Huangpu Jingshan quickly refused. Because he knew that now was not the time to strive for benefits, but the time to try to avoid suspicion. Yes, brother, I understand. Huangpu Jinfeng also suddenly realized it, nodded heavily and stood up. Chapter 484, straight to the point of confusion. Why haven't you come yet? Could there be any changes? At the entrance of the Jingliu Hotel, a middle-aged couple stood there anxiously. They looked at the cars that occasionally drove in front of the door, looking eagerly. It seemed that they were waiting for some important guests. Yes, they were Chu Haoyan's parents, Chu Jianchang and Zhao Gimin. They had booked a table at the most luxurious Jinliu Hotel in Guancheng to entertain the Huangpu Jinfeng family. Discuss the marriage of Huangpu Ying and Chu Kaianqian. But it has been a long time since the agreed time, and there is no trace of them. This made Chu Jianchang very anxious. In less than a month, Chu Tian Industry has lost nearly half of its assets, and is still being excluded by all parties. If the situation is not broken, the Chu family will soon be finished. Wait a little longer. Wait a little longer, maybe they were delayed by something. I have waited for so long, I don't mind waiting a little longer. Seeing her husband took out the phone and seemed to want to make a call, Zhao Gimin immediately took Chu Jiancheng's hand and comforted him. After all, today is different from the past. It was the Chu family who begged the Huangpu family. If they want to put on airs, there is nothing you can do. Urging them at this time will only cause them to be disgusted. At this time, there can be no mistakes. I know, do I need to tell you that? Don't I know that myself? Chu Jianchang impatiently shook off Zhao Gimin's hand. The latter's face changed slightly, but he didn't dare to say anything else. He took his hand back awkwardly. The air became very heavy. Humph, useless things, show off your power on weekdays. When the family encounters a crisis, you will only be a turtle. Chu Jianchang held back and cursed in a low voice. Although Zhao Gimin knew that her husband was scolding those relatives, she couldn't help but blush. After all, she was powerless to help and could only watch. During this period, you'd better take good care of your precious son, don't make any trouble for me, otherwise Chu Jiancheng's words were naturally very heavy when he was angry. The key is that as soon as Chu Haoyan came back, he refuted his marriage plan in person. He was very annoyed. I know, Zhao Gimin could only nod. Haoyan is just concerned about his sister, he has no other bad intentions. After a moment of silence, Zhao Gimin couldn't help but explain for her son in a low voice. Humph, woman's kindness, if he has the ability, he will do it. It's impossible to support a wall with mud. When Chu Haoyan was mentioned, Chu Jiancheng was furious. He has been unruly and disobedient since he was a child. Now that he is older, he is even more indifferent to his family. If Chu Kaianqian hadn't gotten married this time, he probably wouldn't have come back to take a look. Zhao Gimin opened her mouth and wanted to say that her son had made Longji flourish, and the industry and profits had increased several times. But in the end she didn't say it. Because she knew that Chu Jiancheng would not listen to anything now. There was no need to quarrel over such things again. Haven't the two quarreled enough over the years? Thinking of their marriage, Zhao Gimin couldn't help but feel a little emotional. At the same time, she felt sorry for Chu Kaianqian who was about to embark on this journey. Here I come, just when Zhao Gimin was lost in thought. Chu Jiancheng beside her suddenly shouted excitedly. Of course, in order to take care of his image, Chu Jiancheng suppressed his voice in his throat, and only Zhao Gimin, who was closest, could hear it. Zhao Gimin, who was lost in thought, suddenly woke up and looked in the direction of her husband's sight. She saw a black phantom driving towards them. Brother Chu, I'm sorry, something happened and delayed me, I hope you don't mind. The black phantom stopped, the door opened, and the slightly plump Huang Pu Jinfeng jumped out directly from it. He grabbed Chu Jiancheng's big hands who rushed over. And before the other party opened his mouth, he quickly spoke first. A slightly plump face was also full of smiles. Chu Jiancheng was stunned immediately. What's going on? Suddenly, he couldn't do it. When did the Huangpu family become so approachable? Oh, look at me, I'm just talking and not doing anything. I'm just a phony, let's put it this way, to express our apologies for being late, we'll treat you to dinner today, don't refuse. If you refuse, you'll be giving me no face, Huangpu Jinfeng said as he pulled Chu Jiancheng, who was still in a daze, into the hotel. Li Qinlan, who got off the car at the side, also took Zhao Gimin's arm enthusiastically at the first moment, talking and laughing, as if they were best friends. Chu Jiancheng and his wife, who were confused both mentally and physically, were brought into the Jinliu Hotel by Huangpu Jinfeng and his wife. This was originally the property of the Liu family, but now it has been acquired by the Huangpu family through auction. Seeing the major shareholder in person, the hotel manager naturally did not dare to neglect it and accompanied him throughout the whole process. Huangpu Jinfeng directly upgraded a private room to Supreme VIP, the best private room in the Jinliu Hotel, and asked the manager to personally invite Chu Kaianqian, who is waiting in the reserved private room, to come up. Mr. Huangpu, how can I let you spend money on this? It was not until he sat in the Supreme VIP room that Chu Jiancheng's brain recovered from the downtime. That's right, Mr. Huangpu, we agreed to treat you to a meal, how can I let you spend money? Zhao Gimin, who was standing by, quickly chimed in. Sister, why should you be polite? Jinfeng has her share here anyway, it's unreasonable to let guests pay for dinner at my home. Before Huangpu Jinfeng could say anything, Li Qinlan, who was sitting next to Zhao Gimin, stopped him. And what she said was reasonable and irrefutable. That's right, Brother Chu, wait a minute, I'll give you the entire VIP too, come often in the future, don't be polite to me, Huangpu Jinfeng said generously. As he spoke, he started to make tea himself. Zhao Gimin, who was standing by, wanted to make it, but was stopped by Li Qinlan. He couldn't help but look at Chu Jiancheng uneasily. The reason why Chu Jiancheng brought her here was because he was attracted by her tea art. Now, it's nothing. Feeling his wife's gaze, Chu Jiancheng did not respond at all, and did not even look at her. I am not sure, and I am also very uneasy now. This is not allowed, Chu Jiancheng naturally refused. Huangpu Jinfeng smiled and said nothing. Come, try my cooking skills, I have heard that my sister-in-law is a master, and I am just showing off my skills in front of Guangguang. Soon, the refreshing tea was brewed. And Huangpu Jinfeng took the lead in pouring the tea into the cup in front of Zhao Gimin. Ah, I don't deserve it, I don't deserve it. Zhao Gimin was shocked. How could she be treated for the first time? No way, we all saw it in the last tea art competition. It just so happens that I also want to learn. I wonder if my sister-in-law can give me some pointers. Li Qinlan on the side took the opportunity to say. This painting style suddenly became a little weird. Huangpu Jinfeng and his wife were actually flattering Zhao Gimin. Such an illusion made Chu Jiancheng's brain crash again. Chapter 485. Who is the protagonist? I dare not give you any advice. If madam is interested, we can study it together. Zhao Gimin had never been treated like this before. She was so nervous that she trembled when she spoke. Why is my sister-in-law so distant? Just call me Qinlan. Or does my sister-in-law look down on Qinlan? Li Qinlan couldn't help but look at Zhao Gimin with a face full of resentment. No, no, Zhao Gimin was so embarrassed that she wanted to crawl into the ground. She screamed in her heart, I am not a protagonist, please let me go. Chu Jiancheng, who was standing by, couldn't help but turn black in the face. What on earth was going on? Dad, Mom. Just then, a young and beautiful girl pushed the door open and walked in. Her flowing long hair and delicate face made people's eyes bright. She was Chu Kaianqian. When the manager told her that she had moved to another place, she was still a little unconvinced. But now that she saw her parents were there, she finally let go of her worries. Kaianqian is here, come on, let your aunt take a good look at you. Yeah, you are so beautiful. Li Qinlan quickly got up and pulled Chu Kaianqian, who was standing at the door, into the group. He kept praising Chu Kaianqian. Finally, Zhao Gimin was relieved. Chu Jiancheng's face also improved instantly. No matter how confused the beginning was, now it was finally back to the topic. As long as Huangpu Jinfeng and the others were satisfied with Chu Kaianqian, then the next thing would be easy. Kaianqian, why don't you call uncle and aunt? Chu Jiancheng hurriedly climbed up the pole. Uncle, and, hello. Chu Kaianqian showed a hint of shyness, but still said hello to Huangpu Jinfeng and Li Qinlan as her father asked. Because her father told her that whether the Chu family could still gain a foothold in Guangcheng depended on the two people in front of her. Good, 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 oh, what a good girl, what a pity, what a pity. Huangpu Jinfeng looked at Chu Kaianqian and kept praising her, but at the end he suddenly changed his tone and showed a very regretful expression on his face. Yes, what a pity, Li Qinlan also said with regret. Now, Chu Jiancheng's family of three is in trouble again. What? What a pity. Ahem, brother Huangpu, what's a pity? Chu Jiancheng hurriedly asked cautiously. It's a pity that my useless son doesn't have this blessing, Huangpu Jinfeng said with a look of great sorrow. This, brother Huangpu, what do you mean? Could it be that my useless son Chu Haoan went to your place to make trouble? Chu Jiancheng's originally happy heart was on the verge of collapse in an instant. No, no, brother Chu, I am really ashamed. Huangpu Jinfeng put on an extremely ashamed expression. This acting skill is also unparalleled. It's the child's mischief. You told us before you came. Huangpu Jinfeng was so ashamed that he couldn't speak. What's wrong? Chu Jiancheng was so anxious that he almost jumped up and kicked the fat man, but he couldn't really do it, so he could only ask hurriedly. Alice, brother Chu, let's not beat around the bush. My son accidentally got her pregnant, so, brother Chu, don't mention what happened last time. Huangpu Jinfeng finally told the whole story. Li Qinlan on the side had an ugly look on her face, but this was discussed on the way here, so she could only grit her teeth and bear it. On the way here, the couple was worried about how to refuse. If they refused directly and sternly, they were afraid of hurting Chu Kaianqian's face, which would cause dissatisfaction on the other side, and the consequences would be very serious. If they were more tactful, they were afraid that Chu Jiancheng would pester them and cause trouble for the Huangpu family, which would cost them their lives. Therefore, after thinking about it, they could only wrong their son and take the blame. Insist that their son was not worthy of Chu Kaianqian. This way, they had a reason and gave Chu Kaianqian enough face. The most important thing was to show Su Wei their attitude through this matter, and the Huangpu family was definitely not the kind of people who bully others by taking advantage of their power. Chu Jiancheng and his family of three were speechless. Even if the Huangpu family doesn't want to care, there is no need to find such reasons and excuses to discredit themselves. Is it a show of force? Want to test the reaction of my Chu family? Yes, yes, yes. As a big family, it is inevitable, and similar things will definitely happen in the future. Chu Jiancheng actually filled in his mind infinitely. Ahem, that, Brother Huangpu, young people are impulsive, understandable, who doesn't have a confused time? It's okay, our Kyankian is not a petty person, don't worry. After Chu Jiancheng's mind, he immediately said generously. As soon as these words came out, Chu Kyankian changed color, but when she thought of the crisis of the Chu family, she could only lower her head and endure it. Zhao Gimin was also very upset, so she could only reach out and quietly hold Chu Kyankian's hand under the table to comfort her. Brother Chu, what are you talking about? Hearing this, Huangpu Jinfeng was furious. A pair of eyes stared at Chu Jiancheng, and he was scared. That's right, Brother Chu, you are too disrespectful to women. What do you mean? You can rest assured, for women, this matter must not be vague. Li Qinlan, who was standing by, immediately joined the ranks of condemnation. A few words immediately resonated with Zhao Gimin and Chu Kyankian. The two women couldn't help but look at him more. The distance between them seemed to have shortened a lot. Brother Chu, I don't care about other families, but in our Huangpu family, if you make a mistake, you must be punished and you must bear the consequences of your mistakes, no matter who he is, even if it's my eldest brother, the head of the family, it's the same. So, my husband and I rushed to apologize to you in person and make amends. I didn't mean to be vague about this matter, so, please understand my painstaking efforts. Brother Chu, don't mention that matter again. Huangpu Jinfeng looked righteous and spoke righteously, not giving Chu Jiancheng any face at all. They had all inquired about it. Chu Haoyan and Chu Jiancheng had always been at odds, but he was especially good to his mother and his sister. Therefore, as long as he could please the two in front of him, Chu Haoyan would naturally be satisfied. Huangpu Jinfeng's words made Chu Jiancheng blush directly, but he didn't know whether he was embarrassed or held back. Chu Kyankian's head, which was lowered, suddenly raised up. If Li Qinlan's words just now resonated, then Huangpu Jinfeng's words at this time were the sound of nature. However, when she thought of the current situation of the Chu family, the fire of hope that had ignited in Chu Kyankian's eyes gradually dimmed. Brother Chu, don't worry. Meeting is fate. From now on, Brother Chu's affairs are my Huangpu Jinfeng's affairs. Whoever is blind enough to find trouble with Brother Chu, Huangpu Jinfeng, will not let him go first. Huangpu Jinfeng was very surprised and soon discovered Chu Kyankian's worries. He immediately patted his chest and assured Chu Jiancheng. This time, the Chu family of three was confused again. What happened? Did the sun rise from the west? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 486 The Truth Comes to Light. This meal was a mess. Even if it was a delicacy from the mountains and the sea, Chu Jiancheng and others were just chewing wax. It was so confusing that they couldn't tell. Was Huangpu Jinfeng saying the opposite of what he meant? Or was he sincere? Until Huangpu Jinfeng and Li Qinlan left, Chu Jiancheng and his family of three didn't understand. Dad, do I not have to marry Huangpu Ying? At the entrance of Jinglu Hotel, Chu Kyankian asked her father in a trance. I don't know, Chu Jiancheng said with a look of hesitation. Ding ding. At this moment, Chu Jiancheng's cell phone rang quickly. He took it out and saw that it was from the company. In a daze, Chu Jiancheng answered the phone. However, the content of the phone made him shudder and almost dropped the phone on the ground. Chu Dian Industry suddenly received countless orders. Those who had previously excluded the Chu family also came to visit, and specifically asked to see Chu Haoyan, the young Master Chu. Young Master Chu? Oh my, what a big face. Thinking of Huangpu Jinfeng's attitude, Chu Jiancheng suddenly understood something. Why have they been trying to please Zhao Gimin and Chu Kyankian? It turned out that it was also for Chu Haoyan. But he still couldn't believe it. When did his youngest son, who he had never been optimistic about, have such power? He actually made the entire Guancheng power bow to the Chu family. In comparison, what a failure he was as a father. For a moment, Chu Jiancheng felt hopeless. Jiancheng, what happened? Zhao Gimin, who was standing aside, looked at her husband who had been absent-minded for a long time with a worried look on her face. Nothing. Nothing, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. The Chu family is saved. The Chu family is really saved this time. Chu Jiancheng's face was full of excitement and excitement. No matter what, The Chu family finally escaped this disaster. Zhao Gimin and Chu Kaianqian couldn't help but be stunned. The Huangpu family is crazy. How come even Chu Jiancheng is crazy now? Nothing has been accomplished. How can you say that the Chu family is saved? Gimin, thank you for giving birth to a good son. Chu Jiancheng suddenly grabbed his wife Zhao Gimin's hand and said affectionately. Oh Haoan, what happened to Haoan? Zhao Gimin's face suddenly changed when she heard it. It's okay. Haoan must be fine, although I don't know how he did it, but now the whole Guancheng has bowed to the Chu family. That is to say, in the future, our Chu family can continue to operate normally in Guancheng, Chu Jiancheng hurriedly explained to Zhao Gimin. This time, not only Zhao Gimin, but even Chu Kaianqian beside her couldn't help but exclaimed in surprise. Has Chu Haoan been staying in Manila? Where does he get the power? Quick, call and ask, where's Haoan? Chu Jiancheng couldn't help but urge Zhao Gimin. At this moment, he urgently wanted to know, how did Chu Haoan do it? Which big Buddha is behind it? How much benefit can it bring to the Chu family? Zhao Gimin, who was still confused, hurriedly took out her mobile phone from her bag and called her son at her husband's urging. The call was quickly connected. He said he was having dinner with a friend. The mother and son chatted casually for a few words, and Zhao Gimin covered the phone and said to Chu Jiancheng. She didn't know what her husband's purpose was, so she had to ask with her eyes. Friends? Okay, let him treat his friends well. By the way, tell him to go home for dinner in the evening. Our family hasn't gotten together for a long time. Chu Jiancheng's eyes lit up when he heard it. Could it be that big Buddha? This is not easy to disturb. However, he couldn't help but exhort in the end. Oh, okay, Zhao Gimin told her son truthfully on the phone. The mother's unusual behavior naturally aroused Chu Haoan's curiosity, so he hurriedly asked what happened. After obtaining her husband's consent, Zhao Gimin roughly told the story, including the abnormal behavior of Huangpu Jinfeng's family, and briefly told it. Then she hung up the phone. What did Haoan say? Chu Jiancheng looked at Zhao Gimin expectantly and asked. Haoan said that he has plans tonight, and we'll talk about it next time, Zhao Gimin couldn't help but say with a look of disappointment. As a housewife, she hoped that her family would be reunited. Unfortunately, things always go against her wishes. When the child was young, Chu Jiancheng was busy taking over the family business. When everything was sorted out and the child grew up, the two of them had different personalities. Therefore, under her influence, they were basically apart more often than together. Now that Chu Jiancheng has finally lowered his posture, his son doesn't buy it. How can I describe my sorrow? It doesn't matter, let's talk about it when he has time. Unexpectedly, Chu Jiancheng was not angry this time, but said with a smile. This made Zhao Gimin and Chu Kaianqian stunned again. Okay, since the matter has been resolved, then I should go back to the company to deal with the backlog of things. Kaianqian, you go back with your mother to rest first. I'll go home to have dinner with you in the evening, Chu Jiancheng said as he called a car and sent the mother and daughter to the car. Afterwards, he took a taxi to the company and took the opportunity to go back to the company to confirm some things. Chu Jiancheng's ex-wife gave birth to 3 children for him, 2 sons and a daughter. The daughter was Chu Kaianqian, who unfortunately died because of an accident when giving birth to Chu Kaianqian. Not long after that, Chu Jiancheng married Zhao Gimin, and the two soon had a child, Chu Haoan. Since Chu Kaianqian was still young at the time, Zhao Gimin had been taking care of her. Therefore, the relationship between the two of them was better than that of a real mother and daughter. Chu Kaianqian also cared for Chu Haoan, a brother who was only 2 years younger than her. On the contrary, her 2 brothers, Chu Horan and Chu Haojin, were much more distant from them, perhaps because of their older age. They even had hostility towards Zhao Gimin. He never acknowledged Zhao Gimin's identity, and he even sneered at Chu Haoan. He even ignored his own sister Chu Kaianqian. Therefore, they moved out to live somewhere else a long time ago. Chu Jiancheng not only let it go, but also took great care of his eldest and second sons. The 2 brothers became even worse, often bullying their mother and son by relying on their status as the heirs of Chutian industry. This made Chu Haoan very angry. He was not fighting for property, but felt it was not worth it for his mother, because Chu Jiancheng just treated her as a tool. But Zhao Gimin, who is virtuous by nature, had the mentality of marrying a chicken and following the chicken, marrying a dog and following the dog, and never fought for the status she deserved. I always thought that one day, I would move Chu Jiancheng and the Chu brothers Greek letter epsilon equals, Greek letter omicron, Alice. Chapter 487 My brother is awesome. Oh my god, great. My brother, just as Zhao Gimin and others were sighing at themselves. In a seaside restaurant in Guangcheng, Chu Haoan looked at Su Wei with admiration. Dong Zhao, who was standing next to him, was stunned. What's going on? Su Wei asked while finishing the lobster in front of him. Well, fresh food at the seaside is delicious. The problem is really solved, and the time is just right, 1 hour. Chu Haoan, who was opposite, was immediately shocked by Su Wei. He had just finished chatting with his mother Zhao Gimin. He learned that the Huangpu family had taken the initiative to reject the proposal of marriage and was surprisingly polite to the Chu family. At the same time, Chushan industry had just resumed normal business. This was undoubtedly the result of Su Wei's phone call. Don't you even look at who it is, Su Wei said arrogantly. Yes, you are my brother, you are my real brother, drink first. Chu Haoan, who felt relieved, was extremely happy and drank the wine glass in one gulp. This matter has been bothering him for several days. Finally, he had no other options, so he thought of trying his luck with Lao Lang unexpectedly. He really got the right answer. He didn't care about Chu Tian Industrial's affairs. As long as his sister Chu Kaianqian was fine, he would be relieved. Su Wei smiled and said nothing, and also picked up the wine glass and drank it all. By the way, my brother, how about I ask my sister to come over and thank you in person? Chu Haoan took out his mobile phone and prepared to call Chu Kaianqian. Now, he felt more and more that turning Lao Lang from a master to a brother-in-law was definitely a great thing. So, this idea came to his mind again. No reward without merit. I just made a phone call. Su Wei quickly snatched Chu Haoan's mobile phone. His identity was fake. At the beginning, he even avoided Su Jin, so how could he mess with a woman now? Oh, brother, we just got to know each other and simply said thank you. Why are you so nervous? Chu Haoan still refused to give up. As a man, who doesn't love beautiful women? Meet and chat, maybe it will work out. Why am I nervous? You know my identity, knowing it is not necessarily a good thing, Su Wei answered slowly. Oh, that's right. Chu Haoan smiled and sat back. In his understanding, Leoland belongs to the mysterious organization of Daxia, and has always been very mysterious. So, forget it. Don't get yourself into trouble. Okay, eat quickly. After the next game, I have to leave in the afternoon. Su Wei saw Chu Haoan calm down, then threw the phone back to him. Then he continued to make another 10-pound lobster. Oh brother, why don't you play for 2 more days? Chu Haoan hurriedly asked us. He helped so much, how could he leave in such a hurry? I have something else, no more delay, Su Wei answered while eating. Long Zhenyu had just sent a message to reply him, and the matter was settled. Naturally, there was no need for him to stay any longer. Brothers, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It's good to sit down occasionally, drink some wine, and chat. Oh, Chu Haoan could only nod a little disappointed. After all, Lao Lang's identity is special. By the way, brother, which great god did you invite this time? How about we show our appreciation as well? We can't let people say we are ignorant, right? As they were eating, Chu Haoan thought of this again. Although the favor was owed to Lao Lang, he couldn't ask Lao Lang to repay it all. It's okay, don't bother, we are all brothers, Su Wei shook his head nonchalantly. This is not far away but right in front of us. Tell me, brother, let me learn something. Chu Haoan became more and more curious. Su Wei, have you heard of it? Su Wei didn't hide it and threw out the answer directly. With the relationship between Xinghu weapons, there is a real possibility of intersection in the future. So, it's good to warm up first. Suzuhu, Su Wei from Ziwei Group, how could Chu Haoan not know this name? Not to mention the relationship with Xinghu. The name he heard the most this time was Su Wei. The one who caused a great earthquake in Guangcheng. In fact, the Chu family's experience has a lot to do with him. Yet, Su Wei nodded to himself. Oh, gosh, Chu Haoan instantly lost his composure. He had wanted to find Su Wei from Ziwei Group through Xinghu weapons before. But there was no one to help. So he found Lao Lang. Unexpectedly, the one who finally solved this problem fell on Su Wei himself. This world is really small. After going around the earth for a long time, it returned to the circle. However, this is also good. since it was Su Wei himself who came out. In addition to his relationship with Xinhu, then there is no worry about this matter. At that moment, the two of them drank openly. One is a king and the other is an emperor. They almost drank up the other person's inventory. It's rare for you to come back, just stay longer, spend some time with your aunt. It's okay as long as someone is watching over Xinhu. It's not a big deal. At Guancheng Airport, before leaving, Su Wei patted Chu Haoan on the shoulder and said, although he knew that his relationship with his family was average, he was still a child and filial piety was his duty. Besides, with Xinghu's mastermind here, Su Wei was naturally not worried. Yet, got it, brother, Chu Haoan nodded in a casual manner. Others saw him as a bohemian prodigal, but who knew that he was also a man of affection and righteousness? Otherwise, he wouldn't have rushed back in such a hurry this time. Then send her here, Su Wei said and was about to walk in. The private plane was ready, waiting for him to board. Brother, I want to take my mother over, can I? At this time, Chu Haoan suddenly asked. Because he knew that his mother was not actually happy. He could escape, but she couldn't. It was more for him. This is your own business, I don't care, just go find Lauke if you have any questions, goodbye, Su Wei said, and then left. Thanks, brother. Chu Haoan jumped up with joy when he heard this. After all, Xinghu weapons are very special. If Su Wei didn't nod, he wouldn't dare to take people there casually. Even in Longji. Because Longji is already a branch of Xinghu. Equally critical and important. Hey, this kid, he's starting to mature too. Su Wei, who got on the plane, sat in a comfortable seat, looked through the window at the direction of the terminal, and couldn't help laughing. This incident also reminded Su Wei. He should build a residence next to Xinhu. Just in case. After all, it is currently the safest place in the world. Even if the Third World War breaks out, it will be the last paradise on Earth. Chapter 488, The Monster King's Notes. After returning from Guancheng, Su Wei started a new round of brick-moving career. The incorporation of the Demon Realm base has put a lot of pressure on Phaeton. After all, the Demon Realm is large and has a large population. Although it has experienced war, the remaining population is still tens of thousands. It is the size of a large settlement. With the help of the Industrial Titan, the Demon Realm base was built in just a few days, and the survivors who gathered here were not idle, and began a lot of decoration work. At the same time, a part of the Phaeton Expeditionary Force and some soldiers from the Demon Realm were transferred to form a new Demon Realm army. Of course, there is no power armor for the time being. It takes a series of means such as running in, training, and assessment to be considered a qualified Demon Realm army. Before that, they will train, work on duty, and go on missions with veterans. At present, the most common task of the Demon Realm army is to pull back the industrial equipment in Menghe City. Then reassemble the production line in the Demon Realm base. The Demon Realm base is positioned as a large industrial base. As personnel continue to move in and the production line is constantly repaired, one intelligent robot after another is sent over and put on the production line. The Demon Realm base began mass production. The parts that came out were continuously transported to the Phaeton base for assembly of various finished products. The highway was built when the Industrial Titan went there. So far, the Demon Realm base has been closely connected with the Phoenix Nest and the Phaeton. Thanks to the industrial strength of the Demon Realm base, the manufacturing time of the Black Phoenix No. 2 machine has been greatly shortened. It is expected to be offline in just 1 or 2 months. This makes Su Wei look forward to it. Boss, are you free to come to the Demon Realm base? That day, Su Wei had just entered the Phaeton base when Ji Tongguang's voice came from the communicator. He used a personal channel, which means that only he and Su Wei could hear it. Old Ji, what happened? Su Wei asked in surprise. It was because Ji Tongguang's voice was full of solemnity. This, boss, I'd better tell you in person. Things are a bit complicated. Ji Tongguang hesitated for a moment, but in the end he didn't say what happened. Okay, I'll be there right away, Su Wei said as he turned the steering wheel hard. The big guy roared and rushed towards the highway leading to the Demon Realm base. After 2 or 3 hours of special line and special car, Su Wei arrived at the Demon Realm base. Today's Demon Realm base has completely changed and is full of vitality. In the wasteland, as long as there are supplies, people will feel very happy. If there are a lot of supplies, then it is endless joy and happiness, and it is also the driving force and source of survival. Soon, Su Wei came to the Demon King laboratory, which was closely guarded by the Special Forces. He handed the big guy to a Special Forces member and walked inside. After a series of identity recognition, Sui entered the Demon King laboratory. With a great supply of phaeton, the laboratory has been repaired. And with a continuous sorting and analysis of laboratory data, more and more gains are made. This is not only a laboratory, but also a biochemical database. Many data before the catastrophe are stored in it, and many are top secret. Although it cannot provide help to the base for the time being, in the long run, these data are definitely valuable. Old G, in a separate laboratory, Su Wei found Ji Tongguang with a solemn face. His brows were furrowed, his face was haggard, and his eyes were full of worry. This feeling of vicissitudes was even stronger than when Su Wei first met him. Boss, Ji Tongguang woke up from his contemplation when he heard Su Wei's voice. He hurriedly got up and greeted him. What happened? Are you okay? Su Wei couldn't help but pull Ji Tongguang's arm and asked. Old Ji was so strange. Boss, I'm fine, come and take a look at this. Ji Tongguang shook his head at Su Wei, and then took Su Wei to the experimental table. He reached out and pulled out a suspended screen. It was densely written with words. A closer look revealed that it was the diary of the Demon King Jellin of the Demon Realm, or it could be said to be a memoir. The starting date was 10 years ago. That was the eve of the catastrophe. Early this morning, I received an order from my superiors to destroy all experimental data. Are you leaving? Many people have been abandoned. But I am lucky and not among those abandoned. Facts have proved that I am an elite among humans. How terrible. How could humans become like this? I don't want to become like them. I want to live, and I want to live well. I have never looked forward to space like this, because only there's the real paradise. It's finally safe. Once we leave the surface, everyone will be safe. Su Wei was deeply attracted by the content after taking a few glances. Although the words are not gorgeous and the explanation is concise, you can feel Green's sad psychology as a researcher at the time from the lines. More importantly, the diary restores the tense atmosphere on the eve of the entire catastrophe. This is an existence that ordinary humans cannot touch. As a biochemical elite at the time, Green was very lucky to appear on the list of fugitives. And he safely boarded the pre-prepared spaceship, flew away from the surface where the unknown virus was raging at the time, and entered the relatively safe outer space. Since he has entered outer space, why did he appear on the surface again? And established a demon realm dynasty? With such doubts, Su Wei continued to read. Damn, what attacked our spaceship? Are we going to die? Are we going to die? When Su Wei saw this sentence, his heart seemed to be pulled by something. According to Green's diary, their spaceship was attacked by an unknown force shortly after entering outer space. The unprepared human fleet was shattered in an instant. Green also fainted in the violent explosion. When he woke up again, he had fallen back to the surface with the wreckage of the spaceship. At this time, the surface had just experienced a nuclear explosion and was also shattered. Fortunately, Green's fall point was not in the center of the nuclear explosion, and he was wearing a spacesuit, which isolated most of the radiation. This allowed him to survive. Looking at the familiar yet unfamiliar environment, Green did not sit and wait for death, but decided to go out to look for opportunities for rescue. However, the god of luck did not always favor him. When he just went out to explore the surrounding environment, he encountered several zombies. After a struggle and fight, Green escaped back to the wreckage of the spaceship. At this time, he found a bite mark on his arm. In the previous battle, he was bitten by a zombie. This is a fatal injury to humans. Because the virus can enter the body through the blood, and then mutate rapidly, there is no way or chance to save it. In the biochemical laboratory, Green had come into contact with the earliest mutant zombies, so he was naturally very clear about this. Once scratched or bitten by a zombie, then you can only wait to die, and then mutate into a zombie. Chapter 489 Decision. Even if I die, I don't want to become that disgusting thing. Seeing this, Su Wei couldn't help but think of Green preparing to commit suicide, and at the same time, he couldn't help but feel a little sad for Green. It was a gap from heaven to hell, and it was the kind that went all the way to the bottom of hell. Of course, there was no need to guess the result. Green's suicide failed. At the moment he pulled the trigger, the virus suddenly broke out, causing him to lose consciousness instantly. When he woke up again, he became a brand new Green, the Demon King of the Demon Realm. Although the god of luck favored him again and allowed him to retain human consciousness. But the virus still had an irreversible impact on him. Negative emotions such as cruelty, bloodthirstiness, indifference, etc. were doubled in his reborn body. This is also the origin of the law of the jungle in the demon realm. And the he that forced Green to constantly pursue powerful power has an explanation here, that is, the thing that attacked the human spacecraft at the beginning. Green didn't know what it was, so he used he instead. Time is running out, he is coming, the end of the diary, just this sentence. Some of them are so confusing that it's hard to believe. After reading the diary of the Demon King Green, Sue couldn't calm down for a long time. These contents directly overturned his understanding of the wasteland world. Unknown viruses, unknown attacks, unknown enemies, everything has become so confusing. But when you look at them together, it seems to be an orderly and long-planned arrangement. It seems that there is an invisible big hand controlling all this. So the question is, who is this? Old G, what do you think about this? After a long time, Sue looked at Ji Tongguang beside him with a serious face and asked, some things may only be interpreted by people in the wasteland world. Boss, I don't know either. I found this in an inconspicuous folder. From the date, it was created after Green was infected, so its authenticity cannot be verified, but one thing is certain, that is, this laboratory is indeed the wreckage of a spacecraft, and according to the analysis of the surrounding soil, it was later filled up by humans and became a basement, Ji Tongguang said and pulled out a floating screen, which showed a simulated picture of the entire laboratory. The appearance does look like a piece of wreckage. So, Green's record should be true, Sue said while looking at the survey map. Boss, do you remember the incident when the satellite we launched was attacked? Ji Tongguang suddenly mentioned this matter. You mean the object of the attack is still in the sky? Sue couldn't help but shrink his eyes when he heard this. Yes, I think it's very likely. Ji Tongguang nodded in agreement. Old G, is it possible, is it possible, that there was an internal fight among the fugitives? Sue couldn't help swallowing 2 mouthfuls of saliva and said. Boss, given the background of the catastrophe at that time, this possibility is very small. Of course, it is not ruled out. The catastrophe is a big production written and performed by some humans. Ji Tongguang also had no idea. The memoirs of the Demon King Green opened a new door for them, but also brought countless puzzles. Where did the virus come from? Who attacked the human fleet? Who blocked this airspace? What is the purpose of doing so? Besides me, who else has read it? Sue suddenly pointed at the memoirs of the Demon King Green and asked. The matter is of great importance. Before you can figure out the situation, it is better to limit it within the scope. Otherwise, the paradise that has been planned with great difficulty will be covered with an invisible shadow. No more. After I finished interpreting it, I contacted you, boss, as soon as possible. At the same time, the backup was deleted. Now this plaintiff is unique, and it has been separated from the database of the Demon King's laboratory, and there is no possibility of being searched by others. Ji Tongguang replied immediately. After reading it, he realized the seriousness of the situation. So it was treated urgently to prevent it from being seen by others and causing unnecessary panic. Very good, you did the right thing. Put the information about the last satellite attack together with it. No one can check it without my permission. Sue's fingers tapped the table irregularly, and it was obvious that he was a little confused. Yes, boss, Ji Tongguang agreed immediately. In addition, put the production of Black Phoenix number 3 on the agenda. I need to come up with a plan as soon as possible. Sue continued to arrange. Yes, boss, Ji Tongguang continued to agree. Although this will put a lot of pressure on all bases. But this matter must be prepared in advance. Only by constantly improving one's own strength can one remain unchanged and respond to changes. This seems to have followed the same path as the Demon King Green. But Sue thinks differently. At least he is different from Green, and he has the help of another world. He doesn't believe that he can't beat the other party. The core area of the Demon King's laboratory was ordered to be closed, and Ji Tongguang took the lead in selecting reliable assistants to sort it out. Prevent more people from getting access to some special data of the Demon King. After all, no one knows how many things similar to memoirs still exist. Sue left the Demon Realm base with a worried look on his face and returned to the Phaeton base. With an unknown enemy, everything has to speed up. Make adequate preparations before the enemy arrives. Phaeton, Longhu, Phoenix Nest, Demon Realm. Among the 4 major bases at present, the focus is naturally on the Phaeton base. Therefore, he needs to hold a meeting with Songdan and others to increase the speed and rhythm of development. The modern world also needs to increase its efforts to purchase materials. After all, if the speed here is increased and the raw materials cannot be supplied, it will be very embarrassing. As for the excuse of speeding up, Su Wei fell on the Blood Fortress. Anyway, the Blood Fortress is already a destined enemy. Then it will take the blame for the time being. Naturally, everyone has no objection to the arrangement against a Blood Fortress. And they all agree very much? After the mobilization meeting at Phaeton, Su Wei rushed back to the modern world without stopping. After all, a systematic layout is also needed here to avoid mistakes. The focus naturally fell on Meninia's Xinghu weapons. The intensity and speed of Xinghu's procurement were increased. Some sensitive materials could not be conquered in a short time. Su Wei once again transformed into millions and visited several reserve warehouses in the United States. Who let it always target me? I'll collect some interest first. Chapter 490 Frustrated. After a week of running around, Su Wei finally arranged both the modern world and the wasteland world. In addition to working hard to become stronger, the only thing left is to wait. However, adjustments have been made on the basis of the past. Each base has increased its air defense facilities and capabilities. The Black Phoenix No. 1 and the Black Phoenix No. 2, which is about to be put into service, are obviously not enough. Therefore, Su Wei used various means in the modern world to get a batch of air defense weapons. Regardless of whether it is good or bad, it is still a good number to make up. At this time, there was a very good news. That is Su Wei's grandfather, Old Man Su Binglan, after several weeks of closed-door practice, plus a lot of energy potions to assist, finally made a breakthrough and became a top-level Shyandao level. Moreover, this is not an ordinary Shyandao level, but a Shyandao level that cultivates both inside and outside. Although it is a new Shyandao, its strength is unquestionable. You know, there are not many Shyandao levels, and the entire Daksha country can only count a handful. Now there is another powerful Shyandao level. It is naturally a cause for celebration. There is no wall that is impenetrable. The strengthening potion and energy potion that Su Wei provided to Bajiman had already spread. First, the strength of Bajiman disciples increased greatly, and then it was Master Su who broke through to the ceiling. This undoubtedly made people feel the power of the potion. No, taking this opportunity, other sects and schools sent congratulatory cards one after another, congratulating Master Su on his promotion to the Heavenly Dao. Bajiman was crowded with people. As a result, Bajiman became the top sect of Yonghang Palace. Su Wei was naturally not stingy. After discussing with Master Su and others, he decided to take out some potions for auction in Yonghang Palace. The major sects naturally flocked to it and took out all the treasures at the bottom of the box. This invisibly made Su Wei make a lot of money. He harvested many rare treasures. For example, meteorite iron from outer space is a good thing. Unfortunately, there were no items like blue chen gold. Otherwise, it would be a big profit. In view of the good effect of the auction, so Su Wei decided to hold an auction regularly in Bajiman every month. The limited supply of strengthening potions and energy potions, the highest bidder wins. In addition, Su Wei also took the initiative to offer potions to the Eternal Palace to reward those individuals and sects who have made outstanding contributions to the protection of Daksha. This undoubtedly gave the Eternal Palace another shot in the arm. They were all excited and screaming. In the past, there were also generous rewards for carrying out missions, but worldly things were dispensable for the hidden sects. More was just icing on the cake. But this strengthening potion is different from the energy potion. It is real strength. Not only can it improve physical fitness, but it can also optimize one's own qualifications, making it easier to break through. The most important thing is that with a strong physique, the ability to survive is greatly improved. This is tantamount to the lifeline of survival for the hidden sects in the modern world. There is a world with talents, and there is a world with talents, isn't it? Especially for the hidden sects, it is quite difficult to train a master. But any accident is an irreparable loss. Now it's all right. With Su Wei's strengthening potion and energy potion, not only will the survival ability be greatly improved, but even if an accident really happens, it can also speed up the growth of the next generation. Let the transition period be shortened rapidly, which is the existence that the major sects cannot resist. Therefore, the major sects are crying and shouting to rush to go on missions. If you make money, you will also be grateful to others. Well, this is very good. For a time, Su Wei's name was widely circulated in the Eternal Palace. In addition, his relationship with Xianlong is extraordinary. It actually indirectly promoted the integration of the two major systems. There is an unprecedented peaceful coexistence. Of course, these are mainly things that Lei Lao and other high-level people like to see. It has nothing to do with Su Wei. After holding the first auction, Su Wei took a lot of experience given by the old man in a large number of strengthening potions, and started his own retreat. No matter how good the equipment is, it still needs the main body to drive it. Therefore, Su Wei also hopes that he can go one step further. If he can break through to the Heavenly Dao level, then the chances of winning will be a few more points. In a blink of an eye, more than a month has passed. Su Wei finally woke up from his retreat. However, his cultivation had only improved and reached the peak of the Emperor, but he was still one step away from the realm of heaven. He could feel an invisible shackle, but he was powerless and unable to open it. This might be the gap between the Emperor and heaven. Regarding this matter, Grandpa Su specially enlightened his grandson. He told Su Wei that for ancient warriors, failure and retreat was common. The reason why he was able to break through smoothly was, first, thanks to the core mental method of the Baji sect. Second, thanks to the assistance of potions. Third, it was the continuous accumulation over the years. All three are indispensable. Moreover, the third point is the basis of the first 2 points. Therefore, Grandpa Su urged Su Wei not to give up and continue to work hard. As long as he persisted, he would be able to achieve it one day. Su Wei could only accept such a result with pleasure. After all, a breakthrough is an opportunity that can only be encountered by chance. He had always been smooth sailing before, and it was reasonable for him to suffer a setback this time. However, the shadow of the wasteland weighed on his heart, making him unable to let it go. Now, time is his biggest enemy. There must be a quick way and opportunity. Su Wei couldn't help but set his sights on the Emperor-level alien species and 5S-level mutant beasts in the wasteland world. They are the top ceiling of the wasteland world. If you can get the corpse crystal of the Emperor-level alien species or the beast soul of the 5S-level mutant beast, perhaps breaking through the Heavenly Dao is just around the corner. However, there is no specific record of 5S-level mutant beasts in the wasteland world so far, and many rumors are just a glimpse. Trying to find it is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Relatively speaking, the probability of finding the Emperor of Corpse alien species may be even higher. After all, the base number of humans is there. The larger the city, the more likely it is to give birth to the Emperor of Corpse alien species. However, there will be a large number of zombies around the alien species. The last zombie tide is still fresh in Su Wei's memory. That was only the Emperor-level alien species. If it reaches the Emperor level, the zombies that can be controlled and driven will increase exponentially. With such a large number, the chance of hunting the Emperor of Corpse alien species is also very slim. Alice. Headache. Su Wei couldn't help but think about it. It would be great if there were a certain number of zombie killers. Su Wei couldn't help but think so. The jammer developed by Fang Yunzi using the mysterious stone can greatly disrupt the zombie tide. This is equivalent to tearing off the front protective coat of the alien species. It will be much easier to deal with it alone. Unfortunately, the mysterious stone has never appeared again. Chapter 491 Comfort. After the retreat, Su Wei returned to Yunshujian and planned to have a good rest for 2 days. This was to eliminate the loss and unwillingness in his heart. Although the practice of cultivation is like sailing against a current, if you don't advance, you will retreat. But the predecessors also said that haste makes waste. Sometimes, the more you want to get, the more you will fall into the devil, lose sight of yourself, and go astray. Therefore, proper relaxation is also necessary. Maybe after relaxing, you will naturally break through. Ding 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 in the early morning, the doorbell of Yunshujian number 1 rang. Su Wei got up and opened the door in a daze. Mr. Su and the others were still in Bajiman, so he was the only one at home. Sister Wei, why are you here? Su Wei looked at the sexy queen in front of him and couldn't help asking with a surprised look. Today is not a weekend, nor a holiday. Xia Wei, who has always had the potential to be a workaholic, actually came to him at this time. Isn't this strange? The strangest thing is that she was not wearing a stylish formal suit, but a very casual home clothes. What, can't I come? You still don't welcome me? Xia Wei rolled her eyes at Su Wei and pretended to be disappointed. As she spoke, She stretched out her bright red tongue and licked her lips. How could that be? I couldn't ask for more. Su Wei understood instantly, picked it up, and rushed to the room upstairs. At noon, the two of them made a rich and sweet lunch together, and feasted on it in the midday sun. Sister Wei, let's go swimming in the afternoon. Su Wei wolfed down the food Xia Wei made by herself, while planning the afternoon time. It's rare to have such time, so naturally I have to relax. No, I have something else to do in the afternoon. The company is still waiting. Unexpectedly, Xia Wei refused as soon as she opened her mouth. Ah, Sister Wei, you are so heartless, Su Wei couldn't help but said with a look of resentment. Just when I got interested, I had to leave again. Isn't this torture? Haha, slutty little brother, be good, let's talk about it when we have time. Xia Wei smiled and patted Su Wei on the head, then fled from courtyard number 1. Su Wei was speechless. Was he that scary? Oh, never mind, let's go play games. As he said that, Su Wei threw the dishes into the washing machine and prepared to go to the study. The game he was playing was Legend of Daxia. As a boss and a developer, he naturally had countless privileges. However, Su Wei only played with a few familiar friends such as Zhang Dai and Zhang Su. In addition, his time was not fixed. On weekdays, Zhang Dai helped him practice his account. When you want to play, just go in. Ding ding ding. However, before Su Wei walked into the study, the doorbell rang again. Oh man, why are you here? Su Wei looked at the urban beauty in front of him in a daze. Today, Li Xiaoman wore a velvet-covered goose yellow split skirt, and a layer of shiny gray silk pants covered her long legs. She wore a pair of white patent leather high heels on her slender feet. She looked very pleasing to the eye. What, can't I come, or do you not welcome me? Li Xiaoman put her hands behind her back and smiled playfully at Su Wei. Of course not, come on, come in and sit down. Su Wei quickly pulled Li Xiaoman in. Are you alone? Li Xiaoman blushed for no reason after entering the house, and said something to make conversation. Of course, what do you think? Su Wei asked with a puzzled look. Nothing, let's watch TV for a while, Li Xiaoman said and walked to the living room and turned on the TV. Needless to say, it was another romantic afternoon. The two not only watched TV together, but also went to the swimming pool to play together. It was not until after dinner that Li Xiaoman left leisurely, watching the back of Li Xiaoman's car leaving. Su Wei couldn't help but reveal a thoughtful look. Is this how they comfort themselves? This is also good. Can I pretend to be more disappointed? Wouldn't I get more and more comfort that way? Nice, Su Wei couldn't help but laugh unkindly. Ding ding ding. Just when Su Wei had just entered the game and played a round, the doorbell rang again. No need to guess, this time it must be He Shuang. Su Wei, surprised. As expected, the moment Su Wei opened the door, He Shuang, wearing a white windbreaker and a white sweater, stood in front of the door. Holding a bottle of red wine in her arms, she looked at Su Wei expectantly. Shuang, why is it you? Why are you here? Although he knew it well, Su Wei still looked stunned. His face was full of surprise. I am so surprised. You are exaggerating. He Shuang was amused by Su Wei's expression and couldn't help but punch his chest with her little fist. You found out all this? Su Wei smiled and scratched his head. He accidentally overacted. Don't I know you? By the way, I took a leave from the set and flew back. Isn't it touching? He Shuang still maintained her innocence, grinning and showing her beautiful little tiger teeth. Thank you for everything you have done for me. Su Wei was so moved that he reached out and took her into his arms and thanked her gently. But I heard that your retreat failed this time. Everyone is worried that you will never recover. Now you look pretty good. I was saying, how could the man He Shuang, like so easily become decadent? He Shuang raised her head and whispered in Su Wei's ear. Shuang, shall we dance? Okay. As they spoke, music started playing in the room. The two danced to the music. Su Wei took over the bottle of red wine that was in the way, and it slid down his body and landed steadily on the ground. A duet dance is all about the connection of hearts and deep affection. With a tacit understanding between the two, they danced naturally as they pleased. Slowly, under the light, the two figures slowly merged together. Early in the morning, looking at Su Wei who was still sleeping, He Shuang left quietly. But she left a note full of love on the pillow. She had to rush back to the set, so she couldn't delay any longer. But she believed that her lover could understand. Because they were all working hard for a common goal. He was a charming little fairy. After he Shuang left, Su Wei, who was asleep, opened his eyes. In fact, he had woken up a long time ago, but he didn't want he Shuang to face the separation, so he pretended not to wake up. Everyone is working so hard, why shouldn't I work harder? With that, Su Wei stood up and threw himself into the path of cultivation. Degree. Chapter 492 Luo Yingtan. Su Wei's positive performance finally put everyone's heart at ease. After confirming that this retreat did not cause any psychological trauma to him, everyone returned to their normal lives. However, due to the increase in Bajiman affairs, Grandpa Su and his men could only stay there temporarily. It is worth mentioning that Grandpa he had nothing to do, so he also went to Bajiman. There are beautiful mountains and clear waters there, and the environment is quiet. It is definitely a good place for retirement. And you can practice boxing with everyone. Not for anything else, just to exercise your body and mind. Of course, potions are indispensable. Look, after just a few days, he has become rejuvenated. It makes his family amazed. Su Wei stayed in Yanshujian. On the one hand, he has to take care of Ziwei Group and take care of Xinghu Weapons affairs. On the other hand, he has to go to the wasteland world to check the situation. Therefore, it is more convenient to stay in Huidu City. At the same time, he can also enjoy the rare time with several women. It makes people happy. Ding ding ding. On this day, Su Wei was practicing boxing in the yard to warm up. The mobile phone placed aside suddenly rang. He took it and saw that it was Long Zhenayu's private number. Hello, Brother Long, Su Wei answered the phone immediately. Brother, where are you now, can you talk? Long Zhenayu's cautious voice came from the phone. I'm at home, just tell me if you have anything to say. Su Wei sat down on the stone chair after hearing this. He was ready to listen attentively. Brother, do you still remember the three-color Ouroboros you asked about before? Long Zhenyu said straight to the point. Oh, is there any news? Su Wei was immediately interested after hearing this. This is an important clue to track down the destroyer core. And the mysterious stone that can interfere with zombies is related to the destroyer core. It really comes true as you think. Yet, we just got the latest intelligence. The three-color Ouroboros is the emblem of an organization called Dimension Creator, abbreviated as Wichuang, Long Zhenyu said with some sadness. For this information, Daxia sacrificed a group of excellent agents. Wichuang, Su Wei was confused. With artificial intelligence, he also browsed a lot of confidential documents. But there was no information about this organization. According to the intelligence we have obtained, this is a very old organization. No one knows when it appeared. They are active everywhere, but no one knows. There may be many people who have seen the three-colored Ouroboros, but there are probably very few people who know that it is the emblem of Wei Trang. Long Zhenyu continued to introduce. Do you know where its lair is? Su Wei hesitated for a moment and then asked. I don't know, Long Zhenyu answered very straightforwardly. Then where does the information come from? Su Wei couldn't help but be stunned. The information about Wei Chuang was accidentally heard by an agent from a veteran arms dealer. At that time, the veteran arms dealer was drunk and talked nonsense, but not long after, the veteran arms dealer died inexplicably, and the people who had contact with him also suffered a sudden disaster, including our agent. Fortunately, the news was spread in time, but because of this, a series of people were hunted by unknown forces. The loss was heavy. Long Zhenyu briefly introduced the source of the information. Whether it is true or false, the other party's reaction speed and interception ability are shocking enough. If the information was not transmitted quickly this time, it is estimated that Daxia would have been kept in the dark. Perhaps, there was information about Wei Chuang before, but it was intercepted halfway. Therefore, it was not until today that Daxia knew about the existence of Wei Chuang. So, the clue is broken again, Su Wei couldn't help but said disappointedly. No, it's not. Long Zhenyu reversed the tone. Oh, tell me about it. Su Wei's interest was aroused again. The veteran arms dealer mentioned another name in his words, Luo Yingtan. Long Zhenyu quickly solved the mystery. Luo Yingtan, one of the largest weapons design and manufacturing companies in the United States. Su Wei was stunned when he heard this. This company is not unfamiliar. The fighter planes, tanks, warships, etc. designed by it have helped the United States to achieve global leadership. Even the core of the U.S. aircraft carrier was created by it. However, these are not the main points. Secretly, Luo Yington is also the founder of the U.S. biochemical soldiers. Of course, the general public is not aware of this. Only between countries, everyone knows it tacitly. Yes, it is the world-renowned weapons company Leuten. We sent people to infiltrate it before, but the core part was basically isolated from the outside world, so there was no effect. Everyone thinks it is just a weapons design and manufacturing company, but that is just a layer of its outer layer. Biochemical soldiers are the top priority of Leuten. That is why the United States invests a lot of resources in Leuten every year, Long Zhenyu continued to explain. He thought Su Wei didn't know much, but he didn't know that Su Wei had already looked at the U.S. database. He had specially screened the U.S. data before, but he couldn't find any clues about the destroyer. So he had to give up. Unexpectedly, the current clues are related to this legendary weapons design and manufacturing company. Leuten was originally just a small machinery company specializing in the production of tractor chassis. At that time, the United States had a large number of farms and a serious shortage of labor, so mechanical farming became the mainstream. As a result, small companies like Leuten really made a lot of money. Later, the United States participated in World War II. In the general mobilization, all factories must serve the military industry. The Leuten company changed from a civilian tractor chassis manufacturer to a tank chassis manufacturer. This seemed to have opened up the amazing talent of the Leuten company. The tanks that had presided over the improvement and upgrading were invincible on the battlefield. It soon attracted the attention of the military's top brass. As a result, the Leuten company was included in the key list. After the war, the Leuten company became a weapons design and manufacturing company. Not just tanks. It also launched a series of heavy weapons such as fighter planes, artillery, and warships. The unique design and advanced technology immediately won the favor of the U.S. military. The Leuten company also quickly grew into a giant. After decades of development, it is not an exaggeration to call Leuten a U.S. giant. However, where the advanced design of the Leuten company decades ago came from has always been a mystery. To this day, the fighter planes and tanks designed by the Leuten company are still at the forefront of the world. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 493 The Lonely Warrior. Now, we suspect that the destroyer is related to the biochemical soldiers. Maybe it's something they've just developed. It's still just the actual combat testing stage. If it appears on a large scale in the future, the situation will not be optimistic. Long Zhenyu continued as Su Wei recalled the past of Wei Yington Company. Although the destroyer is not as good as the Starlight Army, the problem is that the Starlight Army is limited in number. And the number of HT-1 power armor is also very limited. Although the destroyer core has only appeared twice, it can be seen that its cost is not high. It can be formed in a short time. Otherwise, it would not fight the Starlight Army in a self-destructing way. This kind of powerful but cheap weapon will naturally be feared by many countries. As the saying goes, knowing yourself and the enemy will lead to victory in all battles. Therefore, Daksha is also very concerned about the destroyer core. This time there is a clue, but it is the forbidden area of the agents, Leuten Company. So the top management thought of Su Wei. His outstanding performance in Manenia has not been surpassed so far. If he can agree to assist Daksha agents in exploring Leuten Company, it must be a quick success. So, the destroyer could be a humanoid combat weapon produced by Leuten Company, Su Wei said as he pondered. Yes, we have studied the bodies of the destroyer pilots you provided in detail. It is certain that they were all normal humans before they became destroyers after receiving some kind of genetic modification technology. So, this technology is antisocial and anti-human. We must find it and eliminate it. Otherwise, once a large-scale outbreak occurs, the consequences will be disastrous. Long Zhenyu's voice was filled with deep worry. The destroyer's brain has been severely damaged, and its body lacks emotions, making it a ruthless killing machine. The destroyer is not scary, but the technology that transforms humans into destroyers is truly scary. Okay, Leuten Company, leave it to me. It's time to settle the accounts. Su Wei's voice was a little colder. The destroyer has many characteristics similar to zombies. So, this is also what Su Wei has been worried about. He doesn't want his world to become like a wasteland world. Brother, this matter is of great importance. If you need anything, Daksha will fully support you. Long Zhenyu quickly expressed his position. It is a peaceful period now, and both sides are very restrained. And the loan company is heavily guarded in the United States. Therefore, many methods cannot be used. We can only rely on the intelligence of the agents. But in their home court, the rules are decided by them. Not to mention the agents, ordinary immigrants will also be treated unfairly. Not for the time being. By the way, just help me report to Mr. Xia. I have my own way to do the rest. Su Wei refused indifferently. With his ability, he naturally does not need any cover. On the contrary, if more people know, it will be easier to be exposed. Therefore, Su Wei still decided to be a lone ranger. He has a teleportation ring. It is much more convenient to act alone. No need to worry about other people. This is definitely a nightmare-level existence for the enemy. Brother, are you sure? This time we are going to the United States, don't we need a guide? Long Zhenyu was stunned. Although he knew Su Wei was very strong. But wasn't he a little overconfident? No need, for me, everywhere is the same, that's it, Su Wei said and hung up the phone. Long Zhenyu on the other side couldn't help but smile bitterly. This brother is good in everything, but he is a little arbitrary. I don't know if this time is good or bad. After staring at the phone for a while, Long Zhenyu hurriedly rushed. Although only Su Wei went to the United States to investigate, this was undoubtedly a major operation related to Daksha. All aspects must be prepared in advance just in case. In addition, due to Su Wei's own special nature, his safety must be protected at all costs. Therefore, soon, all agents in the United States will receive this information. Speaking of which, Su Wei's side is much simpler. He made a few phone calls. Tell family and friends that he needs to go out for a while. Leave a message if you have something, and reply when you are free. Then notify Xiaowei to use the Phantom to dress up as himself and show up from time to time. This is to conceal his tracks. Anyway, he is rarely exposed to the public. With just a few shots, he can give people the illusion that he has been staying in Huidu City. This trick has confused many people and has been tried and tested. Knowing that Su Wei was going to go on another mission, Xiaowei was reluctant to leave. After repeated warnings and instructions, she hung up the phone. She could only keep this kind of thing to herself, so she did not inform others. Only Li Xiaoman, who was of similar figure, would perform with her. But Li Xiaoman would not know the details. In short, the fewer people know, the better. After everything was arranged, Su Wei quickly checked himself and made sure that nothing was missed. Then he left Yanshujian. He first went to the cottage in Jingxiu Garden, and when he came out of there, he became a strange ordinary person. He waved a taxi on the side of the road and went straight to the airport. Su Wei did not fly directly to the United States. Instead, he pretended to be a tourist and flew to the Big Bear country first. After staying there for a day and visiting several famous attractions, he checked into the hotel. The next morning, he took a new flight to Lan country. He also stayed there for a day. After visiting famous attractions, he checked into the most luxurious hotel. The next morning, he flew directly from Lan country to Newman City, the capital of the United States. After such tossing and turning, when Su Wei set foot in Newman City, 5 days had passed. And during the tossing and turning, Su Wei kept changing his appearance and identity, and used artificial intelligence to hack into the U.S. system and implanted a legal identity for himself. In this way, he became a local resident returning from overseas, wandering on the streets of Newman City for 2 days. Afterwards, Su Wei bought a car and drove to Gas City in the north of the United States. He was not idle these 2 days, but explored the current reaction of the United States. After confirming that there was nothing abnormal, Su Wei started to act. It is better to be safe than sorry. He didn't want to capsize in the gutter. After all, the United States also has 2 major organizations, SHIELD and Avengers. Once the news of his own leaked a little, the consequences would be unpredictable. It's not that he was afraid of them, but he was afraid that if he alerted them, it would be difficult to find clues about the Legion of Destruction. He had been thinking about that mysterious stone for a long time. This time he finally got a clue. How could he let it break so easily? Chapter 494 Hitchhiking. The United States is vast and sparsely populated. Except for a few major cities, most areas are large farms. They belong to different farmers. Su-wei drove a hardcore off-road vehicle on a road where no one was seen in front and no one was seen behind. The radio played American country music, which had a Western cowboy flavor. He gave himself a name called Charles, and his identity was a retired U.S. Marine. His hometown was set in a small village near Gas City. But the village was deserted. There were many rumors. Some said it was because of environmental pollution. Some said it was because of development failure. Others said it was because of the supernatural world. In short, there were many different opinions. But for Su-wei, it was a match made in heaven. A person who had left his hometown for too long wanted to go back and take a look. It happened that his hometown was deserted and no one lived there. Nice. It didn't look abrupt, and it saved a lot of explanation. After 12 hours of driving, Su-wei finally arrived at the final stop of this trip, Marika. This is the small village that had been abandoned for a long time. Old signboards, overgrown roads, and buildings hidden in the bushes make people's nerves tense instantly. This is just the entrance to the village, and it already looks eerie and creepy. But for Su-wei, this is not scary at all. In the wasteland, he has been to places that are 10 times more desolate and creepy than this one. Sometimes he even stayed overnight there. There are endless strange zombies and mutant beasts. What is in front of him is just child's play. However, the road is not easy to drive, so Su-wei slowed down. After all, modern cars can't compare with the big guys in the wasteland. Not only can they adapt to various terrains, but they are also powerful. If you drive like that, it is estimated that it will be scrapped within a mile. Huh? There are actually people in this place. Just as Su-wei was concentrating on driving, 4 young people appeared in front of the car. They were wearing jackets, hiking shoes, carrying large and small bags, and looked like they were doing outdoor activities. When they heard the sound, they stopped immediately and turned to look behind them. When they found out that it was a tough off-road vehicle, several people immediately showed a look of awakening on their faces. The white-skinned blonde man who led the way immediately ran forward a few steps, waving his hands and signaling Su-wei to stop the car. Click. Su-wei parked the car steadily in front of the white-skinned blonde man. "Hey brother, where are you going?" After Su-wei started, the white-skinned blonde man immediately leaned on the car window and looked at Su-wei in the driver's seat and asked. It seemed very familiar. "Morkia," Su-wei replied lightly. Cold and cool is what he wanted to dress up this time. "Yeah, thank God, brother, we also want to go to Morkia. Can we take a ride?" "Don't worry, we can pay for it," the blonde man immediately shouted more excitedly. With that slightly handsome face, it really gives people a good impression. "What are you going to do in Morkia?" Su-wei continued to maintain a cold expression. This time, Su-wei chose a tough guy face, which fits this temperament very well. "Where are we going to camp? But I didn't expect it to be so far from the main road. If I had known, I would have driven here myself." "Dude, what about you?" The blonde man answered Su-wei's question very straightforwardly, and then asked. "Oh, I'm going back to my hometown." Hearing this, Su-wei raised his head at the blonde man and motioned him to get in the car. "Yeah, dude, you're awesome." The blonde man immediately ran to his companions happily, and after a lot of chatter, the 4 of them walked towards Su-wei's car. At this time, Su-wei realized that they were 2 men and 2 women, and they looked like 2 couples. It is said that there is a reason why there are few people in the United States. Going all the way to a deserted village to camp, they really know how to have fun. The 4 people are very young, only in their 20s. The man is tall and handsome, and the woman is fair-skinned and beautiful. With fashionable clothes and hairstyles, they are indeed very eye-catching. Relatively speaking, Su-wei, who has a decent appearance and a crew cut, looks a bit rustic in front of these people. It must be said that young girls in the United States are still pretty, with fashionable outfits and hot bodies. Especially with a blessing of white skin, they look very charming. However, it is said that they mature early and age quickly, and most of them become aunts in seconds after marriage. I don't know if it is true. When Su-wei and the other 4 were loading their luggage, they couldn't help but think with evil humor. "Opet, brother, let's go." The white-skinned blonde man who came up to say hello sat in the co-pilot seat. The other 3 sat in the back. Su-wei didn't say anything after hearing this, and released the handbrake to let the car start slowly. "Hey brother, what's your name?" "My name is Karis King, and she is my girlfriend Selena. He is my good brother Orb, and his girlfriend Lena." The white-skinned blonde man introduced the team members to Su-wei very familiarly. The hottest girl was his girlfriend Selena, The silent man was called Up, and the petite girl was called Lena. Charles, Sue was very frugal with words. He looked like he was driving seriously. Even the familiar Karis King couldn't help but feel a little awkward. The atmosphere suddenly became a little silent. Charles, will you stay overnight in Marika? Karis King kept chatting with Sue. Of course, after all, it's not early now, Sue answered directly. It was past 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and it would be dark in another hour. It would take about half an hour to get from here to Marika. The main reason was that the road had been in disrepair for a long time, and the speed was greatly limited. It was impossible to go faster even if you wanted to. That's right, Charles, I heard that there is a haunted house in Marika, a particularly haunted one. Is it true? Karis King continued to ask. Of course it's real, it's very famous in our place, everyone calls it Old Moore's Manor. Sue was too embarrassed not to respond to being asked all the time. Fortunately, with artificial intelligence and the magic, Sue searched for information about the Moore's haunted house while driving. It was soon presented on the virtual screen of the magic. Drowned, that's it, I saw it on the internet, it's very, very fierce, we're going to challenge you tonight, let all the friends on the internet see that I, Karis King, am a godlike man. Chapter 495 The Tiger Who Wet His Pants. Karis, stop bragging, have you forgotten that you peed your pants last time when you were scared by a skeleton model? When Karis King was boasting, his girlfriend Selena in the back seat immediately interrupted. Selena, if you hadn't teamed up to play a prank on me last time, how could that be possible? Karis King immediately retorted loudly. It turned out that this was not the first time they had teamed up like this. After several times of peace and quiet in this so-called haunted house, Selena felt too bored, so last time, Yuab and Lena secretly teamed up to play a prank on Karis King. A simulated skeleton model was hidden in the haunted house where they camped in advance. Then it was hung up with a fishing line in the middle of the night. The three pretended to be scared to death. As a result, Karis King, who was unaware of the situation, was scared to pee his pants. Selena also filmed it and uploaded it to the internet. Instantly gained 1 million fans. Although he earned a lot of money, Karis King felt very embarrassed. In order to avenge his previous shame, he had this camp today. Thinking of Karis King's expression at that time, Selena, Orb and Lena couldn't help but burst into laughter. Sue couldn't help but curl his lips slightly. Young people really know how to have fun. The atmosphere in the car suddenly became much more lively. Chalai, don't listen to their nonsense, I'm very bold, that time, they just tricked me, Karis King tried his best to explain in front of Sue. He didn't want to be looked down upon by someone he just met. I know, tigers also have times to nap and sleep, Sue tried his best to smile and nodded. Because the virtual screen of the illusion was playing a video of Karis King peeing his pants on the spot. After eliminating the terrifying atmosphere at that time, coupled with a magical BGM, the face changing was simply too festive. Well said, buddy, tigers also have times to nap and sleep, I was tricked by them when I was napping that time. Karis King suddenly felt like he had met a bosom friend. He even had the urge to hug Sue and kiss him. Fortunately, he finally held back, otherwise Sue might have thrown him out of the car window. Clean the glass. Jimmy, let's clean the glass together. Clean the glass, clean the glass, clean the glass. Okay, you win, our big tiger who loves to pee in his pants, Selena replied sarcastically after hearing this. This made everyone laugh again. Charles, is there really a ghost in Lao Mo's manor? I've seen a lot of related reports on the internet. It is said that the people in the manor at that time, including the owner and workers, dozens of people, all died strangely overnight. The most terrifying thing is that there was a big hole in their stomachs, and their internal organs were hollowed out by something. Fubble has not found the murderer yet, nor has it figured out the murderer's method of committing the crime. Is this true too? Lena, who seemed relatively petite, couldn't help but ask Sue in front of her. Her apple-like face was full of nervousness and excitement. Although she looks petite, she is full of adventurous spirit in her bones. It was because of the incident at the old Mo Manor that Marika was completely abandoned. I don't know about that. When I was a child, I moved to Gas City with my parents. I only come back occasionally, after I served in the military. I came back even less, we were not there when it happened, I heard about it on the news later, so, what I know should be about the same as you, Sue answered evasively. You are a soldier, no wonder, you have a different temperament. The slightly silent Ub couldn't help but praise him. with a hint of envy on his face. He yearns for the military, but unfortunately his family doesn't agree with his opinion. In this way, several people chatted with each other. The car finally drove to Marika village. Looking at the dilapidated village in front of them, several people shuddered. Of course, Su Wei was the exception. Instead, there was a mood of withered vines, old trees, crows, and heartbroken people at the end of the world. There are only dozens of families in Marika village, but each family lives in a spacious manner. So the village covers a large area. In addition, it is now deserted, with thorns everywhere and some trees blocking the way, making the whole village shrouded in a layer of horror. Su Wei drove along the dilapidated street to Lao Mo's manor. On the way here just now, Su Wei had already accepted Karis King's invitation to spend the night in Lao Mo's manor together tonight. Let's see if there are any fierce ghosts. Huh? Su Wei inadvertently glanced at the appearance and suddenly showed a thoughtful expression. There were fresh traces of cars on the road, indicating that someone drove past here not long ago. Chastely, what's wrong? Karis King on the side noticed Su Wei's abnormality and asked hurriedly. Nothing, I'm afraid we won't be alone tonight, Su Wei said with cold humor. What? Why? Others also looked at Su Wei curiously, waiting for his explanation. There are new tire marks on the road. Looking at the direction, it's also going to Lao Mo's manor, so maybe we'll meet friends with the same hobbies, Su Wei explained lightly. Oh, really? Several people couldn't help but stick their heads out of the car window and look carefully at the road ahead. Unfortunately, they didn't have Su Wei's eyesight, and the sky was gradually getting dark, so they didn't see the so-called new tire marks. Soon, Su Wei accurately found the so-called Lao Mo's manor through the shinting system. It was a large manor located in the north of the village. It was the largest one. However, from the outside, it looked even more dilapidated and desolate. Hey, look, there's really a car. The sharp-eyed Lena found a tough off-road vehicle in the weeds in Lao Mo's manor. There was some dust on the car, but it was very new and definitely not a car abandoned in the village. Su Wei drove the car over and parked it next to it. This place is relatively open and flat. After getting off the car, several people gathered around to take a look. They found that the car was empty. There was no one and no luggage. It should have been a day or two. Su Wei reached out and touched the hood. The cold feeling showed that it had not been started for a while. Goo woo woo, I can't wait to see the challenger who took the lead, Karis King shouted in a bit of exasperation. If someone has already taken the lead, then their challenge this time will be meaningless. As they said that, several people carried their equipment and walked towards the house. The four of them had large and small bags, and Su Wei took a backpack and a portable sleeping bag. It's just a show, why take it so seriously? Chapter 496, A Wonderful Flower. However, to everyone's surprise, after searching all the houses in the manor, no one was found. The only clue was that there were traces of human activities on a wheat field that was originally a garden. But it had been destroyed beyond recognition. It was unknown whether it was man-made or not. This made the adrenaline of Karis King and others soar rapidly. Search the internet quickly to see if anyone has uploaded any videos related to Lao Mo's manor. Selena, you and Lena are here to organize the tent. Chalai and I will go around again. Karis King began to get excited again after finding no trace of others. As long as he could get the first place, it would be worth the trip. Jokes aside. But Karis King's leadership position is still unquestionable. Others followed his instructions and got busy. Karis King arranged the camping site in the large living room of the main house. It is better to have a shelter than not. Another reason is that strange car. I don't know what happened to its owner. Did he leave temporarily or encounter an accident? It's scary to think about it. But for Karis King and others, it's full of endless temptation. Maybe this is what they call the spirit of adventure. Hi Charles, are you married? While walking, Karis King kept looking for topics. Maybe this is his way to relieve stress. It doesn't matter whether he answers or not, as long as he says it. No, Su Wei shook his head. His eyes carefully scanned every corner of the manor. His brows couldn't help but frown. Because he found many traces of beasts, and they didn't look like ordinary animals. Could it be that the previous group of people were attacked by wild beasts? Su Wei couldn't help thinking so. Charles, what did you find? Karis King certainly found Su Wei's abnormality. Ever since he knew that Charles was a retired Marine Corps soldier, Karis King has been planning to pull him in. Now seeing Su Wei's professional actions, his determination has become stronger. No matter how bold you are, you only have one life. If Sue joins, their safety issues can be better guaranteed. This guy's brain circuit is really good. Don't you think that soldiers are also human beings? If they really encounter ghosts, they will be doomed, right? There are some traces of beasts here, Sue reminded. Wild beasts, wolves, or brown bears. After hearing this, Karis King said with some disapproval. The United States is vast and sparsely populated, and there are animals everywhere in the countryside. Wild boars, rabbits, wolves, bears, etc. have caused a lot of trouble to farmers. Every year, a large number of hunters are hired to clean up the existing animal hazards in the farm. This place has been abandoned for many years, and it is normal for these animals to proliferate. No, these traces are very strange, and it is difficult to identify what kind of beast they are, so we'd better be careful tonight. Sue didn't care about Karis King's attitude. Anyway, he had already reminded him. Oh Pit, let's go back, Karis King nodded, with a serious attitude. But he was not as serious as he seemed. At this moment, it was completely dark, and the two of them returned to the previous large living room with lighting. When he walked into the house, he saw Orb helping the two women to set up a tent. One tent had already been set up. The two women were sorting out their belongings: alcohol stoves, emergency lights, frying pans, and red wine. Oh my God, are they planning to have a party here? Sue was shocked and had to admire how thick-skinned these people were. However, Sue just looked at it and said nothing. He walked to his backpack and sleeping bag and sat down on the ground. Then he took out a bottle of water to replenish his water. Hey Orb, how is the investigation going? Karis King walked up to Orb and asked while helping. Damn it, there is no signal here, and I can't find anything, Orb said with a depressed look on his face. There is no mobile phone signal here, let alone internet access. No satellite signal either. Karis King was stunned. He wanted to do a live broadcast. No, Orb shook his head. Oh my God, never mind, since we're here, let's record it first. If you don't wait, we'll be the first to upload it. After a brief moment of annoyance, Karis King immediately became optimistic. I have to say, he is really a strange flower. As he said that, the two quickly set up the second tent. There was a distance of several meters between the two tents. This was another big failure in Sue's eyes. But, who cares? It's not like I live here. Thinking of this, Sue took out the compressed dry food and jerky and started dinner. At this time, the two women began to show their cooking skills, and the air was filled with a rich aroma of grilled steak. Hi Charles, come here, join us, Karis King immediately invited enthusiastically. Sue shrugged and had to sit by the fire. These people really want to die. I have already reminded them that there are beasts around, but they still dare to do this. Awesome. Soon, the steak was fried. The two women were busy grilling sausages and bread. There was a portable pot on the fire, and thick soup was boiling. Thank you, Sue only ate a piece of steak and refused. After all, with his appetite, these things were not enough to fill his teeth. Is your compressed dry food delicious? Karis King looked at Sue's wolfing down and couldn't help asking. Judging from his eating, the dry food was more delicious than their food. Try it, Sue said, taking out a piece and handing it over. Karis King was not polite, he took it and tore open the package. However, he did not enjoy it alone, but broke it into 4 pieces and shared it with his companions. No wonder he could become the leader. It tastes good. Several people started eating curiously. Indeed, it was not as bad as imagined, but after all, it was compressed dry food, and it could not be compared with fresh and juicy fresh food. After several people finished the dry food in their hands, they began to feast on their own food. Would you like a drink? Karis King asked Sue as he opened the wine. No, thank you, Sue shook his head and refused. Being in an unknown environment, he naturally had to stay alert at all times, not to mention that he had a mission. So, the next time, everyone ate their own food. Although there was one more person, Sue did not eat their food, so the few people still ate very full. This, in Sue's eyes, was another serious failure. Oh forget it, out of sight, out of mind. Why are the requirements for these amateurs so high? Chapter 497 Haunted House Live Broadcast. After dinner and a short break, the group started the purpose of this trip. I was in charge of filming, and Lena was in charge of lighting effects. Karis King and his girlfriend Selena were in charge of performance. exploring every room of the abandoned manor one by one. Start with the main house, which is a 3-story building with a total of more than a dozen rooms up and down. It is all made of wood. It has been in disrepair for a long time, and it makes a creaking sound when you step on it, which is particularly creepy. It comes with horror sound effects. The dark night, the dilapidated manor, the two people's sensational speeches and performances, and the terrifying water piano sound, suddenly appear gloomy and terrifying. As for Sue, he became an audience and temporary bodyguard. After a round, even Sue had to admire the acting skills of Karis King and Selena. Every time they can grasp the sensational point, the atmosphere is extremely tense and exciting. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would really think that something would suddenly jump out of the room. If these videos were posted online, they would definitely cause fans to go crazy. Not for anything else, just because it's too exciting. Dark night, haunted house, handsome men and beautiful women, these elements that can attract attention and stimulate adrenaline are all there. It's hard not to be popular. No wonder the 4 people can live a free life at such a young age, and they all use famous brands. It is estimated that they have made a lot of money in this way. Sue on the side couldn't help but search for information about Karis King and his team. Sure enough, on a foreign live broadcast website, their team is ranked among the top big guys. Wait, you said there is no signal? That's only for ordinary people. Is Sue an ordinary person? Of course not. With a shinting system, he can receive signals from any corner of the world. However, the signal here is indeed severely attenuated, and there is a certain delay. Needless to say, there must be something nearby that interferes with the signal. It seems that I have chosen the right target. In this way, the abandonment of Mareksha is probably not accidental. Sue's eyes flashed with a sharpness. However, Karis King and others who were busy shooting did not notice it at all. About 2 hours later, the shooting was completed. After simple editing and dubbing, it can be uploaded as a finished product. Then just wait for countless money rolls in. Driven by money, the few people did not feel afraid at all. After the shooting was completed, they sat around the fire again and chatted excitedly. Talk about how they performed just now, what points can be rendered again, and how much revenue they can create this time. While chatting, they also drank beer. Incomparably leisurely and contented. All this, Sue was just listening on the side. He was obviously here, but it seemed as if he did not exist. This may be the so-called circle. People outside the circle will never know the happiness of people in the circle. On the contrary, in Sue's view, what they do is meaningless. But this is the reality. Having traffic is the king, and having income is success. But no one cares where the traffic and income come from. Time passed the early morning in a blink of an eye, and chaotic sleepiness gradually came. The voices of several people chatting became smaller. Sue had already crawled into a sleeping bag. It was boring to sit, so it would be more comfortable to lie down. Karis King and the others also returned to their sleeping bags. After a while, a strange sound was heard. Oh my god. These two couples were playing poker in the haunted house. Sue immediately regretted it. Why did you, a big light bulb, follow them? At this time, he suddenly realized why the two tents were separated by several meters. It seems that they have done this many times. What a sin. Can't you keep your voice down? Sue couldn't help but complain in his heart. Who knew that the complaints made both sides more excited, and they shouted louder and louder. It was like a competition. Damn it. The openness of the United States is really amazing. Creak suddenly, a faint sound of opening the door was heard. If Sue's hearing was not different from that of ordinary people, he might not be able to hear it. Then, a familiar breath spread in. Destroyer? Sue's closed eyes in the sleeping bag suddenly opened, emitting light in the darkness. However, the sounds of playing cards in the two tents continued to rise and fall, and no one noticed the coming of danger. The other party seemed to be still observing. Sue quietly stretched out his hand, and there was a transparent glass tube in his palm. The transparent liquid inside seemed to be boiling and soon evaporated. With the help of Sue, the smoke poured into the two tents. Plop. The sound of playing cards stopped abruptly. Then there was a heavy snoring. After a long time, the burning campfire gradually dimmed due to lack of firewood. Rustling. At this time, the other party began to move again. But he still looked very cautious. Soon, Sue saw a figure, quietly groping over here. As he gradually approached the fire, The face of this person gradually emerged. The pale skin was bloodless. The distorted facial features could no longer see the original appearance, but the teeth exposed in the mouth were extremely sharp, shining with a white light in the firelight. His clothes were ragged, and his skin was as pale as snow. His hands and feet had changed a bit, showing the shape of claws, and his nails had also become very sharp. When he walked, he made very little noise, just like a cat, and it was unnoticeable. "It's the destroyer," Sue could see clearly without the help of the firelight. Although he was dressed in rags, his morphological characteristics were completely consistent with the destroyer. This was not only described in Kin Lao's anatomy report, but also in Zhonglong's research report. Sue did not move for the time being, but just observed secretly. The destroyer glanced at the whole scene, and then went straight to the nearest tent of Karis King and his friends. With a scratch of the sharp nails, the thick tent cloth was cut open like tofu, and there was no sound. Slurp! The destroyer actually made a swallowing sound like seeing delicious food. A pair of sharp claws stretched into the tent. Snap! At this time, Sue made a move. With a raised punch, he knocked the destroyer several meters away. He stood steadily outside the tent. The door of the tent was already open, revealing the eye-catching scene inside. Sue waved his hand hastily, and the key broke the pole, causing the tent to collapse, just covering the sleeping man. The destroyer, who was knocked away, stood up, but his mouth was already bloody and injured. In fact, with Sue's strength, it was enough to kill him with one blow. But Sue deliberately injured him instead of killing him, because he still had some use. Chapter 498. Please save me. Although the guy who looked like the destroyer was furious and roared at Sue, he did not approach to attack. Obviously, Sue's strength made him feel afraid. Seeing that Sue had no intention of chasing, the destroyer slid out of the house. Sue raised his hand and shot a signal needle, which accurately hit the back of the destroyer. The destroyer, who was fleeing in panic, only felt like being bitten by a mosquito, and then he felt nothing. He didn't care and escaped from the manor. The speed was so fast that it was beyond the reach of others. However, Sue did not track him immediately. First, he needed the other party to eliminate his vigilance. Second, the other party already had a signal needle on him, and as long as he was still on Earth, he could not escape from his palm. Then, he had enough time to do one thing next. Damn it, you actually dared to force me to eavesdrop. How can I be worthy of myself if I don't tease you? Hey, don't think wrongly. Sue just wanted to play a prank, and taking advantage of others' misfortune is not his character. First, he found the camera equipment of Karis King and his friends, and directly erased his presence from the videos they shot. With artificial intelligence, no one could tell that these videos had been tampered with. Then, he erased all traces of his activities. He put the car directly into the space. He also used artificial intelligence to erase the information records of his trip to Morka. After everything was done, Sue followed the signal needle with satisfaction. Lao Mo's manor fell into peace again. When Karis King and his friends woke up tomorrow, they would be scared to death. Chasley. This person who only existed in the memories of the four people had no trace of his appearance. So who could he be? With the signal needle and the shinting system, Sue found the guy's lair without any effort. It was hidden in a dark canyon in the mountains. It was not far from Lao Mo's manor, about 20 to 30 kilometers away. However, when Sue arrived there, he found uninvited guests. They wore black hoods and black combat uniforms, fully armed, like ghosts in the dark night. It seems that they have been here for a while, as if they were waiting for this guy who looked like the destroyer to come back. The guy who looked like the destroyer seemed to be seriously injured, and even his alertness was much lower. He did not realize that a group of enemies had been ambushed in his lair. He was seen rushing straight into the valley. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, 3 light sounds were heard. 3 large black nets were shot out from 3 directions and at different angles, covering the guy. It seems that they actually wanted to capture this guy alive. Interesting. Could it be that the destroyer is wild? Sue could not help but feel a strong curiosity in his heart, ready to see how things would turn out. However, everyone had underestimated the guy's strength. The figure in the air did a sudden confrontation, dodged the top net, and then bounced off the ground, quickly jumping from the front. Before the 2 nets behind landed, he jumped out. Go. Seeing that guy turned around and fled into the mountains. The masked men in black immediately shouted and rushed out from their hiding places. He raised a gun in his hand and shot at the guy's back. The gun was also very special. It didn't shoot gunpowder and bullets, but syringes and strong anesthetics. Unfortunately, the guy who looked like the destroyer was too fast. All the anesthetic needles were shot on the open ground. Su Wei quickly took out his airlong and put it on, then turned on the stealth module and quietly followed. Those black-clothed masked men were very skilled, but unfortunately, relatively speaking, they were still a little worse. It seemed that the guy who looked like the destroyer was about to escape. Suddenly, a strong man rushed out of the woods. He hit him directly. Crack! There was a sound of bones breaking, and the guy who looked like the destroyer flew back and fell heavily to the ground. Tooey rubbish, the strong man looked at the guy who was curled up on the ground and spit. It was not known whether he was scolding him or those black-clothed masked men. Su Wei looked carefully. I saw that the strong man was wearing a pair of camouflage combat pants, with his upper body naked, and the exposed muscles were as solid as tree tumors. Except for a few tufts of hair on the top of his head, he was almost a boiled egg. But his face was full of flesh, more like a meat egg. The most conspicuous thing was that he was covered with all kinds of studs. Ear studs, nose studs, lip studs, tongue studs, and even some studs on the skin of his arms. He looked full of punk style. Roar! The guy curled up on the ground seemed to feel the insult and roared in a hoarse voice. Like a wounded beast, he was full of anger and desolation. He Ag Luo, accept your fate, I won't let you run away this time. After hearing this roar, the punk man laughed coldly. The broken voice like a gong gave people goosebumps. So they know each other. After hearing the words of the punk man, Su Wei couldn't help thinking so. This also confirmed from the side that the destroyer was not wild, but man-made. This guy named Ag Luo seemed to be a deserter. But from his half-human, half-beast form, it seemed to be just a semi-finished product. Catch him! The punk man waved his hand. The black-clad masked men immediately rushed up. As if worried, they fired 2 more black nets at Ajiro, who was curled up on the ground. He was trapped on the ground. Then he shot 10 anesthetic needles at his back. Raw the pain and numbness made Ajiro struggle hard on the ground. He didn't care even if the black net was cut into his flesh and blood. Because he knew that this was his last chance. Swish, hard work pays off. Ajiro struggled to open a hole in the black net, and a deformed arm stretched out. The black-clad masked men who were about to move forward were startled and hurriedly stepped back. They were afraid that Ajiro would break free and kill people. However, Ajiro made a shocking gesture in front of everyone. He opened his palm, folded his thumb inward and put it in the palm of his hand, then covered his thumb with the rest of his fingers and clenched it like a fist. Please save me. He actually made an internationally used distress gesture. And it was heading in the direction where Su Wei was. Oh my god. Is this a coincidence? Including Su Wei, everyone was extremely shocked. You know, he is now in an invisible state, and no one can see him with the naked eye. But the guy called Ajiro did it. Not only the gesture, but the eyes of the half-man, half-beast were also staring at the position where Su Wei was. Su Wei moved subconsciously, and Ajiro's eyes moved with him. Oh my god. This is too amazing. Su Wei can now be sure that the other party can sense his presence. Although I don't know how Ajiro did it. But this ability is unquestionable very strong. Chapter 499 Waste of Expression. Who's there? The punk man was obviously very familiar with Ag Luo, and he noticed the abnormality at the first time. He turned suddenly to the direction where Su Wei was. Not bad, your reaction ability is pretty good. Since he had been discovered, Su Wei no longer hid. Ever since the attack on Ziwei Industrial Park, he had a strong hostility towards aliens. He ordered Xiaolong to disperse his disguise. After the air fluctuated like water waves, a set of light blue power armor appeared in front of everyone. The most eye-catching thing was not the sci-fi style armor design, but the 3-meter-long sword on his back. The light blue blade exuded the chill of the forest. Who are you? The appearance of Su Wei made the punk man tense all his muscles, because he felt the power of the breath emanating from the other party. Moreover, after so long, if it weren't for Ag Luo's reaction, he would not have noticed the other party's existence at all. But after searching his brain, he couldn't find a strong man who could match him. You don't need to know who I am, because the dead don't have any memories, Su Wei smiled faintly. Unfortunately, the cold metal mask does not show any expression. The laughter only makes people feel colder. Humph, then come and try. Peng, I'm not easy to mess with. The punk man rushed up, his muscles swelled even more, and shone with a metallic luster. The nails that hid his body seemed to be integrated into one, turning into a spike-like existence. Superpower tempered body. Rubbish. Su Wei didn't even look at him, and drew his knife with his backhand and chopped. Whether in terms of level or superpowers, the punk man in front of him could not compare to Hawk Yuri's, who had been transformed by Lanchin Gold. So, it was tragic. Peng's proud-tempered body was instantly split in half. The incision was as smooth as a mirror, and the blade did not stick to blood. Bang bang, the two split Koppings fell to the ground one after another, and their bodies that lost their superpowers gradually turned back into flesh and blood. The air was instantly filled with the smell of blood. Want to run? Too late. Su Wei turned on his thrusters and quickly chased after the fleeing black-clad masked men. He killed them one by one, just as easily as cutting vegetables and melons. Soon, more than a dozen black-clad masked men were slaughtered by Su Wei. There's nothing I can do. Who told you to see my true face? In this world, only the dead can keep secrets. Su Wei coolly put away his knife, and then walked handsomely towards Ajiro, who was trapped on the ground. Oh my god, when he got closer, he found that the anesthetic had taken effect and he had fallen asleep. Fuck. What a waste of expression. Su Wei thought depressedly, and grabbed the black net casually, and pulled it gently, but it didn't pull it off. It took a little more force to tear it apart. It seems that it is not an ordinary material. Afterwards, Su Wei picked up the unconscious Ajiro in his hand like a chicken. As usual, destroy the corpses. Collect the bodies of Koppen and the masked men in black into the space and prepare to feed the zombies in the wasteland. If he keeps feeding them like this, will he feed out an alien species? Su Wei was shocked by his sudden idea. Although he was not sure, he decided to bury them in the ground in the future. After all, there are too many unknown factors in these aliens. If something bad happens to them, who can he go to for justice? Thinking of this, Su Wei couldn't help but take a look at Ajiro in his hand. This guy can actually see himself in the invisible state and know how to ask for help from him. It's not simple. This needs to be studied carefully. So Su Wei carried Ajiro back to the valley where he was hiding. As soon as he entered, he almost vomited. The narrow and dark valley was filled with the smell of swamps, and the rotten ground was scattered with white bones. There were birds, beasts, and of course humans. Among them, Su Wei saw several shiny mountaineering bags, probably the backpackers who had come to adventure recently, and were robbed by this guy. This place was like a beast's lair, with no value to explore. Su Wei took Ajiro away without hesitation. Away from here, he found a place with beautiful mountains and clear water. With a splash, Ajiro, who was emitting a foul smell, was thrown into a pond under the waterfall. Gulp. Ajiro, who was unconscious, sank with bubbles. However, the water was very clear and not deep, and a clear shadow could still be seen. Su Wei was not in a hurry, standing by the pond, waiting patiently. 10 minutes later, Ajiro, who was at the bottom of the water, could no longer hold back, and jumped out of the water with a splash. A pair of alert eyes looked around, as if thinking about how to make the probability of escape greater. Kaka. Su Wei took off the podgeon on his back and stabbed it into the boulder in front of him. The knife immediately went in a long way, just like stabbing into tofu. Seeing Su Wei's action, Ajiro's already small pupils shrank a little more. The scene of Kappen being killed by him with one sword still remained in his memory, which was an irresistible deterrent. I know you understand, don't waste your time, please show your value, why should I save you? Su Wei's cold voice came from the armor, with a mysterious and powerful power. Ajiro in the pond couldn't help but tremble a little. Looking at Su Wei, and then at the sharp blade stuck in the boulder, Ajiro swallowed hard. Value? He doesn't even know the value of his own existence. Wow. Oh, finally, under Su Wei's gaze, Ajiro pointed to his throat and waved his hand. But then, he drew a few strokes in the air with his fingers, pretending to write. The meaning was obvious. He could no longer speak, but he could communicate by writing. Su Wei naturally understood it. Could it be that he had to give him paper and pen himself? While thinking, Su Wei saw a large flat sandy land next to the boulder, so he hooked his finger at Ajiro in the water, and then pointed at the sandy land. Ajiro in the water understood instantly, but still climbed up the shore carefully and squatted in front of a flat sandy land. Then, he looked at Sue, waiting for his order. "Why did they arrest you?" After thinking for a while, Sue began to ask. "Because they want to know from me why I can still maintain my self-awareness after becoming a polluter." Ajiro hesitated for a moment, and then quickly wrote on the sandy land with his sharp nails. "Polluter. What is a polluter?" Sue couldn't help but be confused after reading it. Polluters are the failed products of biochemical soldiers. They have no fear, no pain, no emotions. The only thing they have is killing and bloodthirstiness. Ajiro then wrote a paragraph to explain. Destroyer. Sue suddenly had some enlightenment. After all this time, the destroyer is just a waste recycling. No wonder they don't feel sad when so many people died. Chapter 500 Special Case. Through Ajiro's description, Sue finally had a new understanding of the origin of the destroyer. At the same time, he also learned how Ajiro changed from a normal marine to a monster that was neither human nor ghost. Everything started 3 years ago. Ajiro is a U.S. Marine who has participated in many overseas wars. Because of his outstanding performance, he was promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Originally, this should have been the beginning of his glory. But because he was born with an extraordinary perception of danger, he was sent to perform a special mission. The reason why he was able to make great military achievements is actually inseparable from his ability. Ajiro, who received the mission, had no doubts. After packing his bags, he took an inconspicuous military plane to the mission location, the polar region. On the way, he was still looking forward to the wedding after the mission was completed. Yes, he was in love, and he was already at the stage of preparing to get married. However, on that military plane, Ajiro fell asleep inexplicably, and when he woke up, he was already in a secret test base in the polar region. The researchers injected him with this so-called gene drug and told him that it was the latest research product of the United States, which could promote the evolution of humans to a superior level. Given his ability to sense danger, once the transformation is successful, his achievements will be limitless. Biochemical soldier. Ajiro had naturally heard of it. He didn't expect that he would have such an honor one day. Of course, he didn't know at that time that the success rate of biochemical soldiers was extremely low. So, his nightmare began. After the injection of the gene drug, Ajiro mutated in less than 10 hours. First, the hair on his body fell off, and then his facial features were distorted and his limbs were deformed. In the end, he became a monster. Other polluters lost their human consciousness at the beginning of the mutation, which was equivalent to being dead. But the saddest thing is that Ajiro maintained a clear human consciousness throughout the whole process. And he watched himself mutate little by little. How cruel it was. Looking at Ajiro's mutation, the researcher in charge shook his head with disappointment. Obviously, he had determined that Ajiro had become a polluter. He was ordered to be sent to the bloody castle for imprisonment, and his family was informed that Ajiro had died. Seeing the expression of the researcher, Ajiro realized that something was wrong. He struggled to explain that he could still be rescued. Unfortunately, he had lost the ability to speak, and the only sound he could make was a roar similar to that of a beast. The behavior of struggling was also judged as an attack by the researcher. So, before Ajiro could find a way to explain, he was knocked unconscious by a strong electric shock. When he woke up, he was already in a dark cell. All the people imprisoned around him were polluters with similar appearances. Faced with such an experience, Ajiro was naturally very angry, and at the same time, he was still thinking about his parents and fiancée, so he made a big fuss in the cell. However, he was unable to speak, and his behavior was no different from the polluters around him. Who would pay attention to him? In this way, more than half a year passed. Ajiro was also tired of arguing, and gradually became quiet. Always staring at the cold wall in a daze, with endless sadness and desolation in his eyes. Because he gave up, if nothing unexpected happened, he would have to stay here for the rest of his life. When he thought of his parents and fiancée, Ajiro couldn't help but shed tears. However, when nothing unexpected happened, an accident happened. Ajiro's silence was incompatible with the polluters around him. It immediately attracted the attention of the guards. They paid close attention to him. You don't know until you see it, and you'll be shocked when you see it. After a period of observation, they were surprised to find that Ajiro still maintained a very regular schedule. Especially after he calmed down, his gaze was full of sadness, which was not the emotion that polluters had at all. So the guards of the bloody castle reported this observation data to the top management. This immediately attracted the attention of the top management, because no matter from which angle, this experimenter named Ajero still had human consciousness. Soon, experts rushed to the bloody castle to evaluate Ajero's consciousness. This undoubtedly gave Ajero hope again. So he cooperated very well in the consciousness evaluation. The final conclusion was that Ajero was an alternative. The polluter had human consciousness in his body. This gave the top leaders hope of transforming the polluters. Once the polluters have human consciousness, they will be a controllable force, and their explosive combat power will even exceed that of biochemical soldiers. Ajero was soon transferred to the special research room of Luyten to receive interviews and research from different experts. Ajero actively and proactively cooperated with the research and treatment. He hoped to turn himself back to normal human as soon as possible. However, this research lasted for 2 years, and there was no progress. Perhaps he was really just a special case. After 2 years of research, Ajero's patience was shaken. At the same time, he also found many clues. These so-called experts only care about why he can maintain human consciousness. They are not interested in his body and appearance. This means that the possibility of him turning back to human is almost zero. With such emotions, Ajero began his plan. That is to escape and see his parents and fiancée. Even if it is just a last look, it is better than sitting here and waiting to die. It seems that because Ajero has always performed well, the guards are not too vigilant against him. He soon found an opportunity to escape. But he was also soon discovered. The top management certainly didn't want a test subject to escape. So they sent people to hunt down Ajero. At this time, Ajero's ability was highlighted. His ability to sense danger became stronger and stronger. The people who were chasing him almost succeeded several times, but he narrowly escaped. If he hadn't been injured by Su Wei in advance, he wouldn't have been ambushed by Kai Peng and others. Speaking of which, it was really a coincidence. In the manner, Su Wei didn't know Ajero's existence at all, so he naturally didn't have any thoughts about him. In addition, because he was with ordinary people, Su Wei had been hiding his breath and pretending to be an ordinary person. So Ajero's perception ability was not triggered. Otherwise, Ajero would not dare to sneak attack the few people camping in the manor, even if he had 10 courage. It was destined in the dark. If Su Wei came a day earlier or a day later, he would not run into Ajero. Because a day earlier, Ajero still had food and would not go out. A day later, he would either have been caught by Kai Peng or he would have fled elsewhere. There would be no intersection. However, life is so wonderful. But Su Wei just happened to run into him. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.